Welcome to the Be Honest Man podcast, a discussion among men of various perspectives on subjects from the taboo to the typical. This is episode 17, and it is going to be another one of those interesting ones where we don't have a specific one topic. Instead, we each brought our own topics, and we're just going to talk about those. And so before we get into that, we will, of course, do the weekly recap on what everybody's been getting into. So who wants to kick that off?
I can go ahead and tell you that I am working on I've been trying to work on a Halloween costume. So Halloween is coming up, and one of our friends is having a little get together at her house. So we're gonna go over there, and I wore a pirate costume, and I was told not to wear my pirate costume anymore. I guess you get a one-use pass. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna do something else, and everything I was thinking about doing or trying to create was failing. So I am now in the middle of making a cyborg arm from scratch, so I can have this basically I'm going to be like a 2077 cyborg character, cyberpunk type of thing.
Hear me out. 2 cyborg arms. You're Jax.
Oh, there you go.
Hear me out. Just be a pirate.
Or just change one thing. Or just take the pirate hat off and just be like, I'm just a very old English person.
So last time you were a pirate.
Just add the cyborg arm to the pirate costume.
Yeah,
Cyborg.
yeah,
Cyborg
that's true.
pirate. Every kid's dream.
You could just say you're a specific pirate. You could be like, I'm Jack Sparrow, or I'm Blackbeard, or something like that this time. And so you're
There you
not just
go.
a pirate. Yeah,
I'm
there's
not
some
the
things.
same pirate. I'm a different
You
pirate,
upgraded.
son.
You now
There you
are
go.
a named character.
Is
Bam.
anybody else doing Halloween event where you're dressing up, or at least just dressing up?
No.
Nope.
Okay, didn't think so. We're not a lively bunch.
Our neighborhood doesn't even get trick-or-treaters, apparently.
I'm
Wow.
going to be alone.
Oh,
Someone in
That's a pretty cool
Jessica's
costume.
department decided to book a speaker Halloween at 6 o'clock.
wow.
So,
I mean, how long is the speaker? If it starts at 6, it might be over by 7.
It's supposed to be open to 7, but then she's got to drive home, and that's going to take close to an hour. So, I mean, by the time...
Close to an hour. It's like
Here-
30
here you go.
minutes.
You both wear
Either way.
costumes to the event and sit in the audience.
Mm.
Mm.
Halloween,
Sean's not
man.
going. Sean's not going.
I went to one before, and I just felt like a caveman. They're all talking. They've got all these molecules and chemicals and all these things they're talking about, and I'm over here like, oh, fire, and it's just, it's not my scene, man.
Fair enough.
But my favorite part of Halloween is giving out Halloween candy
Oh
to
yeah,
the kids. I like seeing the kids' costumes, so
I'm gonna come to your house.
come on over, man. We're gonna
Yeah.
be passing out candy, sitting on the front porch.
You know, Mom
Can
would
I
love to
stand in
have
your
you.
bushes and scare people.
Hey, you can do that too.
That's all I like to do. I just like to stand really still, and they think I'm fake, and then I scare them.
Mhm.
It's the
He,
only
do,
thing I enjoy.
he does have a history of that. This is factual. What about so the ketchup part, Chris, Sean?
Oh, not really into ketchup all that much. Just kidding. I haven't done a whole lot, man.
Well, you were trying to get in first with Indies, so what did you have to say?
That was it. That was literally
He
gonna
was
say I
trying to
haven't
set
been
the bar real
Yeah.
low for the rest of us.
like it's
So be like, I'll go first. Nothing. I didn't do anything.
it's just been work,
I ain't
and
do
then
shit.
that event happened, so we're still dealing with a lot of the aftermath with doing the peer-to-peer counseling stuff, and I did my lieutenant's test the other day, and that felt pretty all right. Is anyone else really fast at taking tests?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm pretty fast.
I was notorious
I don't know that
for
I've
it.
ever taken a test in my life that I wasn't the first one to walk out of the room.
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually fast, but that doesn't mean it's good.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not saying that I'm like I feel like I'm a good test taker. Like I
Same.
usually test better than the work that I put forth.
Same.
I mean, I will see on this one. I mean, I remember the last 2 classes I took for Officer 1 and Instructor 1. I mean, I was done 30 minutes ahead of people. Like I literally was just like, bup, 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 bup. All right, goodbye.
I
Have a good
just
night."
pick the first things that come to me. Like I just trust my gut.
Oh, yeah.
If I see it,
I
I'm
do the
just
same
like,
thing.
that's it. That's what I remember, and I just fly through it. It'd be a humble brag, or not a humble brag. It was a brag moment for a second. I was in an organizational communications class in college, and I remember finishing it like dumb fast. This was like a 77 or something question thing with some written part, some, all that jazz. And I remember finishing it really fast. And then when I got up, I literally saw one of the students kind of like look over at me like, huh? Like, how are you done? And then look over at the professor, and the professor just shaking his head like, this kid just like threw his test away. Like he just circled whatever. I had the highest grade on that test.
Out. Pick all C's.
I had the highest grade on that test. I was like, yeah,
Nice.
doubt me again. Doubt me again.
Now, see,
Yeah,
I
this
feel
was
good about a test, and then I'm like, yeah, I got this. Yeah, that was great. I turn it in, get my grade back. I'm like, what?
I never feel good about anything ever again.
No, legit. When it comes to tests, like I really am. Like I'm a good test taker, and a lot of the time when I go and find out, I'm like, wait, I definitely got that question. I knew that, and then I look, and it's because D was like A and C, and I saw A was right, and I just selected it because I literally
I do that
I
a
try
lot.
to go so fast that I'm just like, A's right, yes. I never looked at B, never looked at C, never looked at D. I'm just like, A is correct, got it, and then
I
it's
have
like
gotten
A
better about
and
that.
C were right, and I'm like,
So,
God.
This was like 100 question test we did. And I think it took me all of like 20-25 minutes. But it was a lot of those ones where it's like pick the most correct answer. So it's like you have to read every single one because all of them are right. If you look at the first one, you're like, that one seems right, then you're probably gonna fail.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't, I don't feel like it was that hard. It was very specific, like it was split into sections. So you had like policies, like city policies, some hazmat stuff, obviously some fire stuff, and then like they sent out some study material, like these 10 commandments for a fire officer, and this other one called like conversational intelligence and stuff like that. The SOPs one, the procedures one, was extremely specific, and like some really they expect you to just read the whole city manual and then just memorize it, I guess. It's like, well, when you retire and or leave the department for medical reasons and or death, how many hours of vacation leave can you accrue and then take with you? And I'm like, what?
I'm assuming if you're dead, you're probably not taking much with you.
Well, your family would get paid out. You get paid out for the vacation time you have left.
Yeah, Chris, it's
But
not all
like,
about you.
That's something I can look up. Like that is never. There's never going to be a point in my life where they're like, you need to know this right now. Right now, the fire won't go out unless you tell me this. Like I will look that up. And then all the fire stuff was so basic. It was like firefighter 1. And then they had some EMS stuff on there, but
Mhm.
Always aim at the top of the fire.
no,
It's the best part, man.
don't do that.
Heat rises. The top of the fire is the hottest part. You put that out, you're good to go.
We'll have a class for you guys.
Yeah, we'll do a whole episode. We'll do a whole
Yeah.
episode on
Well, so
fighting
here's
fires.
The first thing you need to know: fire extinguishers, right?
Mhm.
Pull the pin, throw it in the fire.
Yeah. You gotta pull out with your teeth, though.
Yeah.
I had a fire
Disclaimer:
captain.
don't do that.
No,
Don't do
no,
that.
deadass, don't do that. It's pass, okay? Pull the pin, aim,
Squeeze.
squeeze,
Surrender.
Shit.
sweep. It's surrender. I give up.
At the top.
Pull,
but yeah.
aim, squeeze, shit yourself.
My training captain when I worked in Columbia had told a story about how a woman was dumbfounded that the oven fire didn't or kitchen fire didn't go out. She's like, I used the extinguisher, and he was like, that's so weird. Like there wasn't any evidence that an extinguisher had been used because it's messy. She's like, yeah, I pulled the pin and I threw it in there, and nothing happened. So
Lesson learned.
anyways,
All right, Chris, your turn.
So nothing very exciting. I've been venturing more to like the free weight section of the gym. Overcoming that fear of the large people around me.
Okay.
And Planet Fitness doesn't have the greatest equipment, so
They get everything you would need.
yeah. So I've been using like the Smith machine and just the dumbbells and the barbells. Just doing stuff. So
Nice.
you
Yeah,
pick
just-
things up and you put them down.
yeah,
That's
just
it.
getting over like the intimidation of it.
Okay.
Hell yeah, your arms looking a little buff there, buddy.
Yeah. Looking a little
good.
jacked.
Good to know. I'm going to use the podcast every time we record every week. This is going to be I'm going to watch my progression through the podcast.
There you go. You don't
Yeah.
watch them though, so it's fine.
Well, now I will.
Yeah.
so I can watch the progress.
Okay, fair enough.
So what about you, Steven?
I didn't think about answering it myself. So this past week I went to 2 sessions of physical therapy for my shoulder. That was okay.
Is it helping?
I don't know. So I feel like I kind of started to not have as much pain that like the day before I went in. Now it still hurts, I mean, I still feel like this extension and, various ways, it still hurts. If I try to like take my backpack and move it over to the passenger seat when I get in the car, I feel that. Stuff like that. But it's not as noticeable. When I first wake up, I normally notice it if I slept, like this or anything. But I went in and was like, oh, no, a lot of stuff's not too bad. But the thing that's bothering me the most when I'm in the physical therapy is the lopsidedness. Trying to do the things that they're telling you to do when it doesn't feel natural because my right side is lower than my left side. And I'm like, I almost want to be like, I'll deal with this pain right now because it's not as bad. Just figure out how to adjust like my posture and my shoulder. Like, that's what I'm more worried about right now because I hate when she's like, all right, grab these bands. And then I want you to pull back. And as I'm doing it, I'm like, this is my pull back. It's like sideways. And I'm like, no, we got to fix that. Like, I can't be doing that. Yeah, I mean, and that's some of it's to like fix my posture. I'm like pulling back. I'll do these low ones, and again, my things are blocking me, but I'm supposed to keep them a little bit closer. And then I'll do ones where I'm pulling back higher, but it's bothering me. And my grip is off, and I keep mentioning that. Where when I'm holding something, I'm constantly having to like adjust my right hand, and I think that's because holding the mouse as much as I do, that like my hand has started to just like be further in. When I go to grip something, my pinky is like trying to get under this finger, whereas this one it just lines up beside. And so I deal with like that. So I don't know. When I'm grabbing it, even when I'm doing dumbbells or anything, I constantly find myself like having to like do this with this arm and like wiggle and try to get it. And so I brought that up. I only have 1 session left before my insurance runs out. I'm going on Monday and that's it. So that'll be the end of the road. And they use this where they attach like these 3 little things, kind of like you'd see in a hospital where they put like the little circles on you and
Electrodes.
Yeah. So they did that. And when she first put it on, she was like, okay, you want to feel it, but like, it shouldn't hurt. She put it on and go, okay, I feel that. And then it just started twitching. I mean, my muscle up on the front.
Unit?
I guess, yeah. It was literally just, I mean, my whole shoulder was just like dancing. And she walked off and I was like, is it supposed to? She said, no, I don't want it to twitch. And I was like, well, this mother effer, my shoulder is just alive over here, just like going. And so then she lowered it to where it would stop twitching and I felt nothing. And I was like, okay, I guess,
You can buy those at Walgreens or any kind of drugstore. They use them a lot for people with muscle spasms or muscle pain.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can buy those. You can do that yourself. They're not expensive.
I might have to look into it. And then the other thing we did this last time is ultrasounded my shoulder, which was interesting. Got this little jelly stuff. She's just like rubbing all over my shoulder with the thing for like 10 minutes straight. She was like, does it feel warm or anything? I said, no, it does. It just feels like a normal, like you're just rubbing. The only heat is like the friction movement. Like I'm not feeling any sort of extra. She goes, sometimes it's warm. I'm like, nothing's working, doc. So
Maybe you're a mutant.
Yeah, maybe. And I get a lot of it down like right here in my neck. Actually, it's like my trap. Like I'm pulling. So we've started to do like neck exercise. I got to like lean this way and hold that for 20 seconds and then swap and do it 3 times each side. And then I got to turn this way and look at my armpit. And yeah, everybody not watching the things, just stop saying I got to do this. We can't see you. You don't need to know. All right.
Watch the video.
Yeah. So that's how my week's going. Other than that, I just streamed and stuff. So getting into the topics, I believe we pre-selected Sean to go first. So what is the topic you are bringing forth for today's episode 17?
So I wanted to talk about technology, but at the level of like, what do we feel we're comfortable with? And what do we feel is like the level of technology we desire in our life? So I had this a friend I work with got a new watch. It's a smart watch. I don't recall the brand. It's kind of a real rugged looking one. But we were talking about it, and I was like, the thing is like, well, I'm a big fan of like just plain mechanical watches. I wear this Seiko 5 pretty much every day. And so I've never really had a desire to have a smartwatch. I had a Fitbit that I would wear mostly. I don't think I have any setup for like any notifications. It was mostly just for heart rate and things like that, sleep tracking. But a lot of people likes the smartwatches so they can get notified of text and calls, and hell, I think you can do pretty much anything you can do on your phone on that, which I think is a nightmare. Personally, I don't want to be notified by most of the stuff my phone notifies me for, let alone have it show up on my wrist and I can't hide it away in my pocket. So, like, it got me thinking about like where my desired level is. So, like, at one point I had an Alexa in every room that I can control all my lights and do all these things. And I realized, like, man, these things sure do. And I'm not like conspiracy guy or whatever, but I know that like it would randomly like start talking at times and like and stuff like that. And it just bothered me. And I realized that like what I end up doing is just never using it.
Mm-hmm.
Using some of the features I thought would be cool just weren't as intuitive. Like getting music going and stuff like that. I could just get to what I want to do much faster and efficiently if I just use my phone. I've got it connected to, my Wi-Fi, which is connected to my Xbox and Spotify, and I can just do it all that way. So I had 4 of those things. The smaller one, I don't remember what they're called, whatever the smaller one was, and they're all
Echo
just sitting in a
Dots?
box.
Yeah, Echo Dot.
Yeah, 3 or 4 of those, and then one of the big ones, and now they're all just in a box somewhere. It's just didn't like it.
I did find that mine sometimes talks, even when like I understand it if like I say the name sometimes, the
Or
name.
something that sounds somewhat like
Yeah,
the name.
but sometimes I swear, dude, nothing. Like I like walked past when I didn't say a word, and it's just like, I'll tell you how to make a chocolate, and I'm like, what the heck? And I'm like, I wonder if it's like linked to my mom's,
That
and
could
she
be.
she was like, tell me how to make this or something, and then it was just like, I'll tell you. And I'm like, don't tell me. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's kind of like it got me thinking about where I want my technology. Like what level do I appreciate that I want in my life without getting too much into having it everywhere. And I don't want to keep going on about what I want. I want to talk to everybody else so we can just get a break from my voice. So Indy, I know you wear a smartwatch, don't you?
I do.
Yeah. So why don't we start with you and just how do you feel about it? Like how much technology do you want in your life? Or what pieces of it would you want if you could just take pieces of it?
I want it all, and I want it now. I have the very first Apple Watch. It's going on 7 years or something. I've never felt the need to upgrade because they all just do the same thing. It's with all smart technology with phones and whatnot. They're just better processor, better screen, better camera, and it's the same tech. Um, but I do like smartwatches for a lot of the capabilities that they have for like health, and that's probably the only reason I would want to upgrade to one now. Um, I do have asthma, so being able to check pulse ox, that would be pretty cool. Don't know how often I'd use it, but like there's a heart rate feature on the very first Apple Watch that I'm wearing now. I don't really use it, but I do like the fitness part of it. So when I take my dog on a walk, I'll start that. It tracks the walk, it tracks the weather, the time, the altitude, all those things for me when I go on a walk. That's pretty cool. But growing up, um, a child of the 80s and the 90s where tech was only dreamed about, and watching things like Quantum Leap before smartphones were a thing. And you've got this guy telling this person, oh, this is Muhammad Ali. He does this and this and this. And he's pulling up all the history of a single person on this handheld device that did not exist at the time. So living to a time from when that didn't happen to having it now where I can pull up Wikipedia on my phone,
God,
look
you're
up whatever I
old.
want to, it's pretty crazy. So it's just crazy to see that technology grow, and I love it. Now there is a part, like you said, where you've got big tech, big companies kind of getting involved and kind of listening. That part does kind of bother me, but I do like being able to, like, sitting on the couch, we're about to watch a movie, I get on my phone and I turn off the lights in the living room and turn on some LED lights that are behind my entertainment center and just turn on the movie and not have to get up at all. His wife and I just sit on the couch relaxing. It's a kind of a gimmicky thing, but it's still kind of fun, and it's a I don't know. I like technology.
So as an aside, the pulse ox thing's not going to really assist you much. I mean, you'll know you're having an asthma attack before your pulse ox will ever change.
Definitely. I've had it since I was 2.
Yeah,
Trust
I
me,
know
I
you
will
know. So it's just one of those things. Like I don't know if you think that just monitoring your pulse ox will be beneficial, but
No, like I said, it'd be cool to
typically
notice
it's the least
or to
accurate
quantify.
of vitals you can take.
Yeah.
I can understand that, and I've felt the same way at times. Of just kind of like, this is the stuff that I used to dream about, having, and now I have it, and I'm like, I really don't even like it. And the thing with a smartwatch and a lot of these things, I feel like it's just another way for them to remind you to use their services. They just sat there and thought in a lab, like, how do we've got people, they're pretty much addicted to smartphones, but we need more usage. How do we do it? It's like, well, I don't know. Put it somewhere that they can't possibly avoid looking at. A watch. Put it on their wrist. Have it vibrate their wrist. Have it do these things. They'll never stop using their phone. Ever. So, I don't know. I got offered one the other day. They were like, you get one, being a first responder, you get one for free. All you gotta do is pay the data for it monthly. And I was like, oh, okay, no thank you.
How much was the data?
I don't know. I think it's like $10 a month or something. I honestly don't know. That was just kind of off the cuff. I have no idea how much it cost. And I don't know if that means sign a contract. If they're like, yeah, you just got to do the thing, and I paid $10 and I get one and I throw it on Craigslist, I'm about that life. But we'll see. I'll call them back and find out.
Yeah, I know that with the main reason I was really interested in the smartwatch when it first came out, I was working at a job where we're not allowed to have our phones out. And I was working a night shift. And we're not allowed to have working in a warehouse, wasn't allowed to have my phone on the warehouse floor. So being able to communicate with my wife or girlfriend at the time, and hey, bloop, I can message her from my watch using voice dictation, and then she can respond, and I can still keep in contact. But then I'm like, I'm not using my phone. So there's like a loophole there, so I don't get in trouble at work.
Look, man, she can wait, okay? You're worth waiting for.
Love doesn't wait, man.
That's just so funny to me, right? Like how drastically we've changed over the years from you can't contact that person until you get back to your house and use your phone, like your house phone, or like if you use the one at work or something and you happen to remember her number, to like I can now stay in contact with you in a crazy number of ways at any time through numerous devices. It's just kind of wild to me.
Yeah.
And then you think back to, I don't know, the time where none of us were alive when phones didn't exist, and it's just even more mind-boggling, but
I mean, even when I was growing up, my parents had my mom had we had the bag phone at first. That was the thing. You're a big person, you got this big old briefcase you're carrying around, so you can make a phone call that costs you $3 a minute. But then after that, we got the car mounted phone. So there was a phone that was mounted in the car. And because my dad was overseas and my wife was taking care of us, my dad was military, so he was off fighting wars and whatnot. And my mom was taking care of 2 boys by herself. He was like, you need a phone in the car in case you need to call somebody for help or be able to reach somebody because I won't be here. So yeah, we've always been kind of getting closer and closer to being able to be reached 24/7, and now it's here.
Yeah. I would agree with the idea of when I've gotten some cool little tech in terms of like house stuff, like smart house stuff. Once you have, at least for me, I'm similar to Sean more so than Indy, that I find myself not really using it. Like it's easier if I just walk by and flip the switch than be like, oh, let me get on my phone and like hit the button to like turn it on. Or, every now and again, I will say the lady's name on the device and say like play, a certain
Despacito
song or radio or something, but that's it. I'll just be like, play Breaking Benjamin radio and I'll wash the dishes. That's about it. I rarely, and I know that like there are other times I should use it when I think to myself, like I'll be live and I'm like, oh, okay, I just put something in the thing and I'll be like, chat, remind me in 4 minutes to go check that, when I literally could just out loud say the name, remind me in 4 minutes, and bam, it would be done. So there are cool ways to utilize it, but I don't do it nearly as much. And it's literally now I'll like walk into Best Buy and I'll see some cool stuff. I'm like, oh, my lights could be activated, whatever. And then I think to myself, will I use it?
Well, here's
and
the
will
thing,
it add any value to my life? And I'm like, no, not really.
So it's definitely not a necessity by any means. This is all definitely moving towards the future of it's nice to have, but definitely not necessary. We've obviously lived without all this stuff
Yeah.
in the past. But the real way to make this stuff useful is home automation, and that's the kind of stuff that I'm looking forward to. It's not really there yet, and I know that they are integrating. There's a new protocol language that they're coming out with because right now, of course, we got the whole Google Android divide again, separating things out. And so smart devices are made for this or they're made for that. And if they're made for both, they're really bad Chinese knockoffs and they're not really that well made or responsive. But being able to have like a motion sensor at the front of your house, so you come home at night, you walk in, because you're the first phone on the Wi-Fi, it knows who you are, it knows that you're home and you're the first person home. The lights turn on for the pathway that you would normally take. That would be cool. Or if you're getting up in the morning, you have a motion sensor at the bottom of your bed. Boom! Now your floor lights turn on around the base of your bed, so you're not waking up your partner, but you can still see the ground, and it knows that hey, you're up. It's this time in the morning, and then your coffee maker starts going. So when you get downstairs, your coffee's on. Just things like that. Just making your life easier, living more of a Jetson style home automation. Definitely not necessary. Definitely pretty cool to me, but not needed by any means.
Yeah, I'm super comfortable with what I have now, and it's not a whole lot. We have, I think, 2 Alexas. I can say their name because they're not in here with me. But
Oh, you think they're not activated right now, bud?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But so we have one in the kitchen. I only use it to set timers when I'm cooking. We have one in the bedroom that I never use at all.
Because the timer would be too short.
I don't have a smartwatch. I've been thinking about getting a Fitbit, and that's kind of all I want. I have no desire to have like an Apple Watch to connect my phone and do all that shit. I really just want it for when I'm at the gym, stuff like that.
So I got this is the Fitbit Sense. It is the first smartwatch that Fitbit did. So it's kind of like Fitbit Apple Watch. So it doesn't have all the tie-in to Apple, although you can link certain things and whatever. It's not part of that ecosystem, but it's still pretty neat. It'll buzz and show you the text messages you're getting or other things that you've set up. So it'll, tell me if somebody tweets at me or DMs me and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. It has the sleep tracking, all that stuff. That's what I really liked was the fitness part of it.
Yeah.
And I haven't been wearing it for like a week or two, but I was up until from when I bought it till now, it's been months. I was wearing this like every single day. And the only reason that I would ever take it off is to charge it, and only because it has the SpO2 sensor, which is that what you guys were talking about earlier, where it checks like blood oxide. Yeah, it does that when you're sleeping, and it sucks like 40 or 50% of the battery out.
Well, that's how that's part of it. Sleep quality checking.
Yeah, so it would do that.
Detect CPAP and stuff like.
One of the other really cool things about this, so when I got COVID back in January, this thing knew I was getting COVID. Like once I got it and I went and looked and I could see that my skin temperature had gone up. I could see that my heart rate was changing. I could see that like all that stuff. I had like 5 different analytics that literally showed graphs going in the you're about to be sick and then them getting back to normal. This is what I would check to know like am I back yet? Because my heart rate was elevated, my temperature was high, all that stuff before I was sick. And then when I was sick, that's the thing that told me I was sleeping for 19 hours the day I had COVID, like the first day, because I just didn't move the whole time. I was just like in bed like this. One day, it was a Monday, and I just laid there for so long. I thought I was asleep for 19 hours, and I was in and out, but that stuff's cool. I like that. And they're getting really advanced. Now, I don't know if there'll be watches. I think it's going to take more. Maybe it's a chip that goes inside you. Maybe it's a chest strap. Maybe whatever. But they're starting to get things where it can tell you way more details about your health and all that stuff on like a second by second basis. That it's coming. And I think that stuff's going to be really, really cool. The heart rate sensors are always finicky on these things. So whenever it tries to calculate like how many calories you burned in a day, none of them are actually that accurate with that. At this point, whether it's Apple, whether it's this, because I looked into it because that's one of the things that's really important to me. And all the research says like some of them can be general, decent estimates, but some days they're going to be way off and some days they're going to be a little under, above, whatever it is. So, I wouldn't use it as like 100% truth, but I do like some of those features when it comes to like Fitbits and smartwatches.
Yeah, and that's all I'm really interested in because, like, I can't use my phone to keep track of any of that shit. 'Cause, if I'm like on the treadmill or something, I'm setting my phone down, and just moving. So it's not telling me any of that stuff. But that's all I'm really interested in a Fitbit.
Yeah. And you can swap
like,
the songs from it too. So like you can literally just be like next song.
I can do that with my earbuds. I bought some wireless earbuds, and I can just tap them, and it'll skip a song or turn up the volume and shit like that.
I think do the AirPods do that? Like the AirPod Pros?
I have no idea.
Oh, I can do that too.
I got J Labs.
Okay.
I will say I had gotten the Fitbit mostly for the sleep tracking. I would wear it to the gym, but I was also doing zone 2 training, where you want to be in a specific heart rate range. And for a while it seemed to be pretty good, pretty accurate. I've gotten pretty good at just being able to feel a pulse for a couple seconds and estimating about where it's at. And I was like, okay, it's pretty close, most of the time. And then it just stopped being accurate. Like I would be working out and at a pace that I would normally be at a certain rate, and it's like 50 BPM higher, and I'm like, what is happening?
Can you like recalibrate it and stuff?
Yeah. I've restarted, did everything online, and it would be fine most of the time. And then there'd just be random times where it would just start reading off.
And that's what I mean. Like they can be finicky like that. It's also like where you place it on your wrist.
Yeah. Well, Jessica got one because she has anxiety really bad. And so personally, I thought it would be worse to be able to constantly look at your heart rate, but for her, it actually helped.
Same with my wife.
Yeah, and then the realization that there could be times where it's going to say like your pulse rate's 150 when you're chilling at 70, and that's not going to help anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that might have been part of the reason she stopped wearing it. I'm not sure. We had the same one. It was like we got it around the same time you did, I think. But it was like 120, 150 buck one. It was like the traditional like strap looking one.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I mean, for certain things, like the heart rate, I like. The sleep stuff was kind of cool, but it just most of the nights, it started to again just didn't make a lot of sense. It's just I'm looking at the data, and it's just not accurate. So that would be my only caveat with those.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get one that's 100%. I have been overall mostly satisfied with how the Sense has played out. And it was a cheaper option. It was going to be like I pay $150 more and get the Apple one and get on the ecosystem, but the Apple Sleep stuff was worse. They actually didn't have one like really built in. You have to download one of like 3 or 4 apps that are made for the Apple Watch that do sleep tracking.
Apple Watch won't last. The battery won't last through the night.
Yeah. No. Well, it depends. It's some of the newer ones, but yeah, you basically have to like set it on the stand, charge it, put it on to go to sleep, and then when you wake up, like you're gonna have to,
charge it again before you leave.
I think what I'm gonna do to just make this thing last longer, so I don't have to take it off, is turn off the SpO2 sensor, because that's the only reason it doesn't last like 3 or 4 days, is because of that sensor. Your
sleep tracking is just gonna.
There are other things in there that are probably pretty decent to track, but
no, it is. I'm just saying, like, so they combine all of the analytics together to give you a sleep score.
Yeah.
And so without that, I don't know that it's going to give you one. You can still track those other ones, but it is an important, an important one.
Speaking of battery life, these earbuds that I bought them like 3 weeks, maybe a month ago now, and I'm using them like 2 hours a day from anywhere between like 4 to 6 days a week. And I haven't had to charge them once.
That's actually nuts. That's the AirPod Pros or whatever do not do that. They definitely need to get charged.
Yeah, I keep expecting it, but I get in the car, I'll get to the gym, I'll turn them on, and I'll say battery full. I'm like, fuck yeah, it is. Let's go.
It's like a charging case.
Yeah, they have a charging
the battery case, and then and you haven't charged the case at all.
Nope.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Nice. Not since I got them. But besides all that, like, I'm really not super concerned about, I don't know, anyone really listening to me or watching me.
Yeah.
I mean, if people want to watch me through my webcam, like I'm sure someone's watching me right now through this webcam. They're not getting a whole lot out of it. And if someone
we're watching you right now,
I'm getting a whole
people
lot
that shouldn't be watching me right now. And then if people want to listen to me through my phone, if the FBI, I don't know, want to listen to me through my phone, they're not getting a whole lot of that either. They might be hearing some clapping, but.
That's also the thing when people bring up anything. I'm like, one, if they wanted to, they could, and two, like what are they getting out of it? I'm not doing anything that's worth, I guess maybe someday somebody can like try to blackmail me with like pictures or videos or sound clips or who knows, but
Yeah. That whole I don't want the
I've never
government
word
finding me
blackmailing
thing is
before.
they've
Yeah,
they've
I
got you.
want them to. What if I get lost? Like, what if I'm out? Like, find me, please. Like, break all the service agreements. Like, I don't care. I'll sign anything that says that the law enforcement can try to find me using my devices. Please.
Fun
Hey,
fact.
yeah, great. Find me. If I need you to find me, then I that's what I want.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
You find all like little. You see like the scam shit on Facebook. It's always like old people post like, yeah, you don't fucking
you got a tape over your webcam.
watermark all of your things. The internet's
Yeah.
gonna have your face, and they're gonna know everything about you. Like everyone knows everything about me anyway. I could Google any of you and find out stuff.
Well, here's the thing: even with the companies that you trust with your information, your healthcare, your credit companies, those things get hacked daily.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So your health information is probably out there in some database in Russia. Same thing with your phone records. Same thing with your credit card information. Everything, every big
They
company
just haven't
has been
gotten down the list to get to yours yet.
hacked. That's it.
Oh, they
every
might have.
every
I don't
big
know.
company.
Putin's over there. It's like, God damn, this kid's cholesterol's high.
I mean,
No,
I've,
so
I've-
like most of the time when that shit gets hacked, like say your credit card information, it's just put in one big ass list, and then just random kids on the internet who see it will then go down that list trying to find the ones that work, and then use it.
Yeah.
So your stuff's out there; they just haven't gotten around to it yet. So I had passwords. I still get emails. So I had passwords that I had used years ago. That Google was like, "Hey, these passwords have been compromised." Like, okay, I changed it. I still get emails daily in my spam folder about someone's like, "I know your password is this, and if you don't do this, I'm going to, send these pictures I've got of you to people and your porn history, blah 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 blah." And it's like, bro, I haven't used that password in like 10 years. So good luck.
Yeah.
I forgot the password. Thanks for telling me what it was.
Yeah. I've
now I can
gotten
finally
that
get in my
email
PayPal,
too, and I
goddamn.
was literally just sitting there like, send it.
Just fucking send it, bud.
Post them. If you got them, post them. Whatever, dude.
Yeah, Tom Segura actually did a bit about this. There's you can get beds that'll like sit you up now. You can order all of your groceries get delivered to you. You don't actually have to leave the house for anything. Eventually, your bed is gonna open up. You can just shit right down the bed. It'll close back up, and you're good to go. You press a button, lay back down, you go back to sleep. That's your day.
Oh wow, that sounds like good technology.
Completely unrelated. I think I've reached the point in the last 6 months where I'm getting older. I'm waking up to pee.
Yeah, you're old.
That didn't hit me until I was like 30, 31, where I would wake up going like I needed to pee. Like semi-regularly, probably twice, 2-3 times a month. I'm like, I wake up. Like normally I would just sleep and I would wake up at some point and be like, okay, I gotta pee, like in the morning. Now I'm literally waking up.
Watch that water intake before bed, man. You give yourself
Yeah.
a cutoff.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. See, I'm
Yeah,
younger than you.
Yeah.
I
I'm
also
younger
am
than
not
you, I
there
guess.
yet.
I
and I'm
normally-
the oldest
Oh,
guy
wow.
here.
Well,
so thank
no,
God.
I do try to. So whenever I think I haven't had enough water, I will literally take this and drink like almost the entire thing while I'm in bed watching Netflix before I go to sleep. So I'm setting myself up for this. But I feel like I was already doing that and I wasn't waking up.
Yeah.
So y'all should load up on some water before bed and let me know.
I drink water during the night. I actually roll over. I have a cup of water that I keep next to the
So you
bed.
just wake up to drink water.
I literally roll over. I drink a cold drink of water,
Like
and then
your
I go
body's
right
like, I
back
got
to
too much. I gotta pee, and their body's like,
Yeah.
please, for the love of God,
Yes,
drink water.
more
Let's-
more
I-
water.
I snore, so it dries out my throat. So I
Maybe
wake up.
maybe that's for me too.
Mm.
But yeah, I roll over, take a cold drink of water, and I'm like, that was great, and I go right back to sleep.
Yep.
Um,
Sometimes I'll wake up and I don't pee for like a couple hours after I get up.
Nah, you
No,
don't
I
drink
use the
enough
bathroom when I get up.
No.
So I did want to make a point when you guys were talking about use my technology. If I get lost, come find me. There's a watch company called Breitling that makes a watch called the Emergency that actually has a distress beacon built in that you can activate, and it broadcasts on emergency frequencies, so that anybody who monitors those frequencies within a certain radius will then be notified and come looking for you. And it's an expensive watch. It's like 20 grand. And I think it's like a one pop kind of use. And also, if you accidentally activate it and they come looking for you, they're going to find the shit out of you.
They're bringing
But
like
it is a
evac
cool feature.
helicopters.
It is an absolutely really cool device. Like, that is like James Bond level stuff.
So
Like,
here's
you,
the thing.
you literally activate and they're like, all right, now they know where you are. Your distress beacon is sent out.
So Apple's
Googling
latest
this right
watch does
now.
this. Apple's latest watch does
Brightlight
this as well.
emergency.
They have an emergency feature where even if you're out somewhere where you don't have signal, they will it'll pull up on your phone to where it'll tell you to point towards certain satellites, and it'll direct you towards the satellite, and it'll do like a ping off of the satellite to get to emergency services. And it's because the data is going to be so small that you can send through that. It's like it asks you a bunch of service like questions. Is anybody hurt? Do you have food and water? Like basic yes or no answers that you would just push a button for, and it sends that to emergency services with your coordinates.
That's kind of cool.
So that's pretty cool. So even if you don't have service, if you're out hiking somewhere in the middle of the Sahara Desert and you get
Don't do that.
trapped out there,
All that stuff I'm for. Like, just to get back on topic
Yeah.
of like the conversation, I'm for all the stuff for like safety and health and stuff like that. The automation stuff I don't care for as much personally. You know, and I haven't experienced a lot of things you talked about, but when I think about like, oh, if I rolled out of bed and put my feet down, that the lights would like, no, because sometimes I don't want the lights on. You know, I want to roll over, and it doesn't have the brain to know like, do I want the lights on this time? Do I not? No, it's just going to be set, right?
You could fix that with an
It
implant.
doesn't have the brain yet.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. You could like implant something and then like you're just controlling everything with your brain. Like that, cool. If it's literally in my brain where I'm just like thinking lights on and it cuts on, I'm down. Like, why not? But if I still have to like anything where I have to whip out my phone and like turn something on, I'm like, I could just reach over and turn it on. Like it doesn't take out a step. It's just on my phone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I like the automation part.
So my views on it. There's certain technologies I like. So it's obviously being able to communicate with your loved ones and access the world of the internet on your phone. It's a miraculous thing, and I appreciate having it. I think my use of it is a self-control issue, as with most people. So I'm not going to harp on that being the bane of all existence or anything like that. Like, it is what it is. We all have a personal choice. I appreciate phones. When it comes to pretty much technology in my house, I've gotten to the point where I prefer to be minimalist in a way. I don't want automation. I don't want those things. I like mechanical things. My watch is mechanical. I don't like any new technologies in vehicles or everything's electronic and auto detecting and auto braking. Like, absolutely not. I want to be in control of everything I do. I like mechanical things, and so I guess in a way, like, I don't like anything in that wheelhouse.
So you wouldn't want like an electric car, like a Tesla?
No, not at all.
Even if it like the rest of it was good, just the idea that it is like an electric
I can't fix
motor.
that. I can't work on that.
Yeah, but the environment.
I like that is no better for the environment. Where do you get the power from? The power grid. Where does the power grid come from? Mostly from not green energy. Where do the batteries come from?
So you're telling
Not
me
a
it's
great
all a
practice.
lie?
Where do the
It's
Oh,
all
yeah,
a scam.
absolutely.
All the electric cars are really just.
Electric cars are there to save the auto industry, not the planet. Cold hard truth. Anyways, but the technology I do appreciate is interconnectedness of devices. Being able to be like, pull something up on my computer and be like, oh man, I kind of want to watch this sitting on the couch, and just be able to go to my couch and then continue watching that. That's the future. That's everything that I want. Like, being able to just, like, the casting thing from your phone, all the shared devices and accounts and stuff like that, interconnectedness, that is technology I absolutely adore and use all the time. Beyond that, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I don't want any more connectedness to the internet, no more connectedness to other people, no more connectedness to apps, or it to notify me of anything. There's nothing else in the world I need to know right now. So, like,
I don't have any naps or notifications. I don't
Yeah,
I don't use
but even
any of that
text
stuff.
and stuff, like, I can just look at my phone, and if it's important that someone has to get in contact with right now, they would call me, and I'll probably not hear it, but it is what it is, And then if I do see it, I probably won't answer, and I probably won't call them back, But it's just one of those things, man. I'm just not about it. It's crazy to me, but like it confuses me when I see people who are like at work who are just constantly looking down at their wrists, and I'm like, you can't be that interested in the time. But all they're doing is just constantly just looking at the text or notifications. I can see if it like text. Like I can, in a way, understand that.
You can disable some. So like there are things
Yeah.
that used to ping me that I'm like, I don't need to get like a
Yeah.
vibration on my wrist, and I'll turn those, start to turn those off and whittle it down to the things that I really care about.
Only thing my watch lets me know of is my wife texted me.
Mm-hmm.
She's the only person that does text me, so that's the only person.
But that's the thing, though. Is it's like I can understand that to an extent. Like the scenario you gave earlier of not being able to access your phone stuff, like it makes sense. But there are people out there who every time someone tweets, it's popping up on their wrist. Every time there's a deal on Amazon, it's popping up on their wrist. Every time the camera in their house says their cat farted, it's showing up on their wrist. It's just like, how do you live life like that? You never look. It's just like that whole thing where like we talk about kids these days and are always in front of a screen. Well, it's like, well, damn, bro, you put a screen like attached to your body. Like you literally have said, I cannot be disconnected from the internet. I cannot. It will not make me comfortable, and it's just wild to me. So like, I'm not anti-technology by any means, but I'm pulling an Amish, and right where we're at right now is where the cutoff is.
Fair. All right, Chris, last thoughts, because we want to move on to these other topics that we all have. We're 46 minutes in.
Whew. Yeah, I appreciate all like everything like security that we've gotten out of technology, right? So we have cameras attached to our house. It's connected to the phones. That's great to have. I know there's all these apps out there that are like hidden as other things for like domestic violence and stuff like that. So I appreciate stuff like that we've gotten from technology. Just stuff that's keeping people safe.
Fair enough. All right. Well, now you get to continue because we're moving on to your topic.
Moving on. In honor of October and being that on the day of this recording, we're just a handful of days away from Halloween. I'm just going to talk about some horror movies because I like horror movies.
Do you?
Yeah, it's my favorite genre of movie.
Really?
Yeah, I
pretty
love horror movies.
Pretty sure that's pronounced Gonry, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's my favorite genre of movie.
Movie. Gonry, movies, yeah.
It's just like, I guess it's I grew up with it. Like when I was a kid, my favorite movies, now they probably weren't classified as horror movies, they're more action, but like Predator and Terminator were like my favorite movies growing up. All the old Evil Dead movies, Army of Darkness, stuff like that. Those are all my favorite movies growing up.
Hail to the king, baby.
Yeah, and now it's, being 31, the only downside to all this is horror movies don't scare me. They don't bother me anymore. But it's been interesting just over these 30 years watching like how horror movies in particular have changed, right? So like slasher movies were always going to be big because it's like, oh, this could actually happen. These are people who could actually be running around stabbing people. And then like through like the early 2000s, it turned into like now these found footage things or like the bee's knees because technology was everywhere and everyone's recording everything. Yeah, so it's like found footage was the thing. And then it just keeps getting pushed further and further, and now it's starting to get to the point where, to me, it feels like it's not so much that people are making horror movies to scare people anymore. It's like they're just making them to see how far they can like push how gross shit is.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know if anyone's seen the Terrifier movies.
Nope.
So I watched the first one, I think last year, a couple of years ago. And it's just real basic. There's this guy, he's a serial killer, Art the Clown. And you think it's just going to be a regular horror movie. But it's just fucking disgusting, the kind of shit he does. And then, of course, I had to watch the second one because it just came out. And it's like twice as long as the first one. The kill scenes are fucking horrific. But I love it because there's fucking, I don't know, something wrong with me. And it's like that's what like the Hostel movies like this evolved from like the Hostel movies. Those were huge. So now it's all like body horror is like the thing now.
Saw.
Yeah, the Saw movies.
I when it comes to horror movies, I'm not really a big fan, and I think we also were heavy into it when we were young. Not even necessarily me, but because Sean, our friends Sam and Ryan, Chris, like all it was scary movies. Like that's it. It's all we did. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like, the originals, all those that's all we did. They were writing scripts and like trying to act it
film
out
movies,
and film
yeah.
movie, yeah, all that. I mean, we'd be watching scary movies and Sam would have out a notepad and he'd be literally like taking notes on things and ideas. And I feel like I watched so many that I got to that point of like, they don't do anything for me anymore young, where it was like, I could just sit there watching a scary movie and like, I'm not jumping. I'm not surprised. I'm just like, yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Just over and over. And it just like didn't do it for me. And now I never choose to watch a scary movie. There have been times where it's just happened. That's where maybe the movie we're going to see, or, somebody comes over and they're, oh, let's put on a scary movie or something. It's like, okay. But like, I never choose it. It's just not it for me. I don't know. Plus, I definitely don't enjoy anything that's actually like real and like gory or scary or anything like that. Like I don't enjoy that stuff. Like, some people will go watch people get hurt. They like watching that. Like they'll Google like, somebody losing their limb and stuff. And like that stuff literally bothers me to the core. So I don't know. I just don't like a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, my wife is a big horror movie fan. I said I watch the old stuff. Like I said, Evil Dead, all those classics. I love those for what they were. Um, I am not. I'm not a horror movie person either. I'll watch them. I also think I got desensitized to a lot of it. If they are horror movies, there's got to be another element outside of just the gore. The gore alone won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be like something thought provoking, um, or a little bit of like a who done it element. So I can, there's like, oh, that's so and so. It's got to be that guy. Like I'm gonna watch to the end because I know who's doing it. I know it's that guy right there. Um, but yeah, that's it for me. I think the last one I really enjoyed was As Above, So Below, or something like that.
I do like that one.
I remember that one.
Yeah, so they go out to the catacombs and
That's found footage filmed, right? Like that kind of
yeah,
one.
yeah. So that one was pretty cool because it made you think, and then when you get done watching it and you think back, you're like, and you're like, okay, now I want to watch it again because now it all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I like movies that are like that, but it can't just be like stab, guts, blood, screaming.
Yeah, good demonic found footage film. Those are great.
When those first found footage, like when the Paranormal Activity movie came out and stuff like that, the number of people who'd be like, "This is real." Like this is like this.
Blair Witch.
Blair Witch, man.
Everyone was talking about how like the Blair Witch is like real found footage.
Well, they set up that movie so well. It'll never be done again.
Marketing.
It'll never be done again that same way. But they had the town in on it. They had the mayor in on it. They were doing like real news things on it. It was like newspaper articles were coming out. They were really setting this thing up before this movie came out, and then it was perfectly done. Nothing will ever be done like that ever again. It was amazing.
I absolutely adore horror movies. Anything spooky in any way, movies, books, manga. It's just that's my wheelhouse. I appreciate gore. I think that there are good movies out there that are nothing but gore. I won't say nothing but gore, but like, that are just the most over the top, ridiculous. Fun fact, if people don't know that Peter Jackson of the Lord of the Rings fame, director, also directed some pretty absolutely ridiculous and grotesque horror films. My favorite of which is called Dead Alive. Yeah. Everyone should see it. It has living intestines that fall in love with people, a kung fu priest. There's a lawnmower scene, the hack up zombies. There's all kinds of. It's fantastic, absolutely an artwork. Good old Sumatran rat monkey. Yeah, I can't. That's always been my thing since I was a kid. I just loved horror movies. It was whenever I got to go to Video Update on 50 Cent Tuesdays or whatever it was. That's all I'd go back to the horror movie and the cult classic sessions, and I would just comb over those, and I would just pick the ones that just looked the absolute nastiest. Lucio Fulci's Zombie was a big one for me. When I was young, has the infamous zombie versus shark scene, and I have a T-shirt. It's one of my longest owned T-shirts. It was a zombie T-shirt, and me and my friend Ryan went up to Richmond one year, and they had some original theatrical, like, whatever 35 millimeter, whatever film that they played in one of the theaters up there, that they had to switch the reel halfway through because this was like in the 70s when that movie came out. Horror was a huge part of my life in every way. I still write horror stories and things like that from time to time. And it's always like, that's one of the ways I bond with so many people, honestly. Like, it's just through horror movies. When you find out there's another person who's kind of a horror movie buff, like, you guys can just talk for hours. And yeah, I'm a big fan.
You love my mother-in-law. Her and my wife will discuss. They've watched every horror movie that's available on every streaming platform, good or bad. My mother-in-law is definitely good or bad. She'll watch them all. She doesn't care.
Yeah.
My wife's like, let me know the good ones that you saw, and then I'll watch those.
So I'm really bad about watching modern stuff. And this is with most things. I've gotten to that point in my life where I am fine with the stuff that I've already discovered in life. So either it be music or, books. I've reread books recently. And movies is the same way. Like, I'm more likely to rewatch a movie than to watch a new one. I'm trying to get better about that.
So we're learning a lot about you in this podcast. You're like stuck in time. You're like, I don't want to go any further than
I told
this
you,
one
bro.
point.
We've hit a good point in the timeline, and we don't need to move forward.
You're an old man, Sean. You're an old
I like
man.
a good mix of both. Like,
Please excuse me. I'm gonna go
I
yell
love
at the
watching.
clouds.
I love watching Dawn of the Dead. That's like my favorite zombie movie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Did you ever see the remake of Night of the Living Dead that came out in somewhere between 90 and 95? It was actually directed by Tom Savini, who did all the makeup and stuff for Dawn, Day, and etc. of the Dead.
Yeah. Which one was Night of the Living Dead?
So you had the original Night of the Living Dead, which is George
Yeah.
Romero's first film,
Yeah.
the black and white back in the 60s. In the early 90s, he did a remake that had the dude, I want to say it had the dude that played Candyman, the original Candyman. I can't think of his name right now. I know it. Yeah, I believe he's in it. And a couple other people. Bill Moseley plays Barbara's brother right at the beginning there. They're coming to get you, Barbara. And it is one of those movies that I watched at a young age. I distinctly remember everything about seeing that movie for the first time. It was like dusk. My mom had these orange, almost burlap-like curtains that made everything kind of this eerie orange glow in the house. We had an old couch that was kind of scratchy. You remember the one, Steven, that was kind of brownish, and it was like individual kind of
the cushions.
Yeah, the cushions, everything like that.
Yeah.
And I distinctly remember all of those things and watching this movie and just being terrified. I'm watching it by myself. I don't know why I'm by myself. Steven might have been doing something else, but like
something way cooler than that.
I distinctly remember, and that is one of my favorite. Return of the Living Dead is my all-time favorite zombie movie, but that one I feel like every person who's into horror movies and or zombie movies should see. It is actually really, really good.
Yeah, I have a fascination with all things zombie, all the movies, all the shows, all the video games.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking love it.
Have you seen Return of the Living Dead?
Yeah.
Oh, I watch that movie every year. It's my favorite.
One of the things that I remember, that Resident Evil movie, like that first one that came out back in the day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the zombie stuff. Yeah, exactly that one. All the like zombie stuff didn't bother me. The thing that bothered me the most was when they were in the room caught in the hallway with the lasers.
Oh yeah.
And they were killing it, dude. They were jumping over him. I was, yo, you guys, yeah, let's go. And then it turned into the grid, and it just went towards them and cut them into little blocks.
Dicing.
That destroyed me. Like there's just something about those kinds of scenes where you're just like,
you have everything right
kind of scene.
Yeah,
where you just say you did everything right, and like you have no way out. There's no way out. Like you're dead, you know. Yeah. And like every time I see something like that in a movie, I don't know. Maybe I just need hope, because those things I hate scenes like that. Like they
That's
literally
one of
sit
the
with me.
things,
I
though.
think
Have
about
you
that
guys-
scene. I'm just like, dang.
That's one of the things with a horror movie, though. Is like there's almost always some semblance of hope that they're working towards or working. Either it's like, hey, let's not get killed by the guy carrying a butcher
Yeah.
knife around, or like, let's not get eaten by the ravenous alien that's crawling on the ceiling. And then like there's those times where like, oh, I'm locked in a room with 10 of those ravenous aliens, and it's just one of those things like you have to have that semblance of hope.
Yeah, they didn't have it in that
story
room.
to make people kind of And then there's
So
those moments when they take it away, and you're like, oh shit, I don't like that.
Those are the ones I like.
So I do like movies that are like B-rated movies. Like I like
Oh,
bad
yeah.
movies. Like there's some that are bad because they just were not very well produced, and so we laugh and we watch them because they're hilarious. And somebody actually tried and thought this was really good. But then there are ones now they've got to the point where they're just making them bad on purpose.
Yeah,
Yep.
But there's like there's the Pumpkinhead series, which is
Oh,
ridiculous.
boy.
Yeah,
And
but
then
those were serious at first. I haven't seen any of the
yeah.
later ones.
And then they have this one I watched on Netflix. There's like a killer tire that's
Oh,
rolling
yeah,
around.
rubber.
Yeah. I was like, what is this? I
Yeah, I
watched
don't
it.
get into that kind of
I just
stuff.
I just laughed the entire time. I was like, what is this? There was God, and I think in that one people thought it was a person. Like it took somebody's skin and they're like, oh yeah, this is hey dad. And they're like, that's obviously not your dad. Like I don't know.
It's a tire, bro.
I don't know the story behind it. Yeah,
Yeah,
like, Army
it's
of
bad.
Darkness is like my favorite movie of all time, and that's
Yes.
a B movie, and Bruce Campbell's like the god of B horror.
Oh, of course.
B-rated horror movies.
absolutely.
That's fucking great.
This
That
is my
is an
boomstick.
eminently quotable movie
Oh,
too.
yeah.
It is very, very
Oh,
good.
yeah. Fucking love it.
This
Yeah.
is my boomstick.
You got to shop smart, man.
Shop smart. Shop smart.
I think this. So for horror movies and stuff like that, I don't think it's the scare that gets me. It's the sad that gets me. I hate
can
the
see
sad
that.
parts. I hate all the sad parts. Like those are the parts that like sit with me. Not when somebody like got stabbed or the dude puts him on a hook. Like I'm like, oh, whatever.
That sucks.
But like sad stuff gets me. Even in normal shows. I knew something was going to happen in the final episode of the House of the Dragons. Like I knew it was coming, and the whole time it's just, and I'm like, oh no, like that's sitting with me is that this sad thing's going to happen. And they didn't make it as sad as I thought because I always think, oh, they're gonna like
They're gonna milk it.
they're gonna milk the emotion and they're gonna make it like sad and the thing's gonna be crying and there's gonna be, but no, it was like it's a wrap. And I was like, oh, okay, that's
So I can
not
deal
as
with that.
bad.
It
Yeah, I can
sucks,
deal with
but I
that.
can
It was
deal with
still
it.
like, yeah, that, but like, yeah. Yeah.
See, that's kind of the thing. Like, so I'm a big fan
And
of.
nothing with animals.
Oh yeah, I don't. Demonic possession movies
Kill.
are my favorite.
Animal stuff is like rule number 1 in movies. You don't kill the animals.
Ooh,
Well,
Joe,
no,
man.
if you kill them, like that sucks. But again, if you make the dog whine first, if you make it sound scared, any of that, I'm not cool with. Like if you just like walk in and it's like headless over there, I'm like, dang. But I can get past that. But if you make it
no.
sad, then I have a
Dude,
problem.
John Wick hit.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Fucking,
you're gonna.
yeah.
I've never
my
seen
God,
it.
the-
I don't
the
want
Will
to.
Smith movie.
Wait, you
Oh,
haven't
I Am
seen John
Legend?
Wick?
I Am Legend.
Oh, yeah.
Who hasn't seen John Wick?
I haven't.
Oh,
What?
Any of them?
Yeah, I haven't seen John Wick. No.
They're fun
Wow.
movies. They're very.
They are for what they are. They are top tier for what
I
they
love
are.
it. It's a movie for me.
I've heard great
I can-
things, but yeah.
Yeah, they're very fun movies. Like comedy horror, I also love, like Shaun
Oh,
of the
yeah.
Dead.
Oh, love Shaun of the Dead.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Fantastic film.
Great movies.
Yeah, I like
Return of
the
Living
comedy
Dead
ones.
is a comedy horror. I mean, they made that movie to spoof zombie movies.
There's just so many ways you can go with horror. It's great.
Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah,
And I was actually looking for this while we were talking, but when I mentioned the Terrifier earlier, this one particular scene in the second one, because I remember reading about it on Reddit after I watched the movie. And this guy gave us like a breakdown of what happens in this scene, and I just wanted to share this with you guys. So this is Art the Clown. He breaks into this girl's house because he went trick-or-treating and she didn't want to give him candy. So you pissed him off a little bit. So he gets in the house and he chases her upstairs into her bedroom. So he has a scalpel and just like one time straight down through the middle of her eye. All right, so now her eye's all fucked up, and this is a low budget movie. This is like a $500,000 movie.
The
So
first
he
one was
does that,
35.
and then he gets a pair of scissors and he scalps her. He breaks her arm and rips her arm off. Her other arm, it's like the Great Fear. Like he grabs like the two fingers on each side, and just pulls it down the middle. And he walks out of the room, and she's like crawling to her phone. He comes back, and he pours bleach and salt all over her.
What?
Yeah, that was the fun part of the scene. Like she's
Oh
crawling to
my
the
god.
phone. He walks in, and he just starts pouring bleach on her. He's like rubbing salt into her back and shit. Yeah, and then it cuts out, and her mom gets home. She's like, "Where are you?" And she gets up to her bedroom, and he's just sitting there on the bed, and he's like carving pieces of her off.
Does he take out the
Yeah.
mom?
Oh yeah.
I googled
Yeah,
Terrifier
we
1.
we don't see him kill the mom, but then like the next scene is like kids coming up and trick or treating, and like he's using her head to give out the candy,
Oh my god.
and like the kid's mom's like, "Oh my god, that looks so real." The kids are like, "Ugh, it's sticky." It's like, yeah, it looks so good, right?
So I googled Terrifier 1, and it has the people also ask section
Uh-huh.
on Google. The second question is, can a 13-year-old watch Terrifier?
No.
No.
I don't even want to watch it.
Yeah, most people probably shouldn't watch these movies, honestly. There are some great parts. Like in the first movie, he's chasing this girl, and she's supposed to be like the final girl. And he's chasing her around, and he's like beating the shit out of her. He has like a whip, and he's just whipping the shit out of her. And then it gets to the point where like she turns it around. She's coming back. She's hitting him with like this 2x4, and then he just pulls out a gun and shoots her, and that's the end of the scene.
What?
She's like, "Get the fuck up!" He's looking at her. He just pulls out a gun, shoots her in the leg. He walks him, just shoots her in the face, and that's it.
Oh my god.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Oh, spoiler. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those movies where it's like if you like ridiculous gory shit, it's an okay movie to watch. The second one not as much, but the first one was pretty good.
So talking about like sad in movies and stuff like that, and like the ones that really make you not even just sad, but just emotionally distraught and confused. So Hereditary was a great movie. I love anything with possession, demonic possession, devils, anything that deals with demons and the devil. Like I fucking love it. I love that movie. I think it's so good. I have not let my wife watch it yet. I keep we keep getting these moments where I'm like, oh man, like there's so much of the movie that's good, but there's just that like 15-20 minute period after a certain thing happens, and you're just like, I don't want to be alive anymore.
I've never seen it, but I know what happens.
You should see it. It is so good. But like, it's just like, I don't know if I want to subject another human being, let alone the one I love most in the world, to this movie. But I mean, most people are like, it's not that bad. But like, no, genuinely, if you have emotions, it is a rough scene. I mean, the whole movie's just like one of those things that's just like really good, but just walks that line between being incredibly psychologically damaging and I don't know. It's a good one. It really is.
Okay, not watching that one either.
But
It's, apparently, from whatever, it's just like the one scene that's just gonna like rip the soul out of your body. The rest of it, yeah, it's just
the rest of it is.
So I don't
it's
need to
classic
see
horror
it.
movie. There's some
Like,
really cool stuff, some really gross stuff, but nothing like to be purposely gross just to gross you out. It's just part of the story.
We're gonna need a full report on this, Steven, next week.
Yeah, I won't. I don't know. Maybe I just have too much emotional attachment to things, but the idea that it's like, yeah, this will emotionally destroy you. Like, no, I'm good.
Okay, well, there's one movie, Chris, I don't even think you want to watch. ABCs of Death.
I'll watch it again. I'll watch the second one.
I know we watched that.
Any horror movie.
We had watched that on Halloween, and somebody said they didn't want to watch it. I think it was Charles.
It was Charles.
Charles said absolutely not. He is not watching any more of those.
Once Charles finds his tolerance for something, there's no making him budge.
I mean,
So, yeah,
it was bad.
they're not good movies,
It
but
was very bad.
they're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
I guess for my final words, I did watch another movie like 2 nights ago. It's called Deadstream. That is a great horror movie. It's not like super bloody or crazy. It's about a streamer, like like a YouTube guy that goes to try and like rebuild his name after some kind of scandal. He goes to a haunted house to try and live out a night in a haunted house. And it leans more towards the comedy side of horror. That's a great movie that I think Steven would enjoy.
Is that the one where it's got there's two famous people in it, right? Where they're hosting this thing?
I don't think there's anyone famous in this movie.
Okay. There's one movie that I watched where they were like or wifey was watching, I stepped in, but they were I think it was I don't know if it's like Buster Rhymes. Some famous rapper was in it and then a model, but they were hosting this like
Say
was it?
Halloween.
Halloween H2O.
Maybe they were
I don't
hosting this
think it
like
was
Halloween house.
H2O.
They were like streaming it. They had a bunch of kids go in streaming it. Oh no, you know what? It was
It's definitely one of the Halloween movies.
It is a
It was
Halloween
the one
movie.
after H2O.
Yeah, it's a Halloween movie. And they
LL
were like going
Cool J
into
was in H2O.
they were going through it and they thought that it was his childhood home and
Yeah.
Okay. But
Halloween
yeah.
Resurrection had Buster Rhymes in
That
it.
one. Yeah, it was that one. Resurrection. I remember seeing that one.
We just had a new Halloween movie.
And
didn't they?
Tyra Banks.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah, I guess Halloween Ends just came out.
Is this
personal
supposed to be the last
recommendation.
one in that series?
I hated it. I
Yeah?
hated it. Was not a fan.
I mean, we got to watch it. It rounds it out, so or it's
Oh
supposed
yeah,
to.
you guys feel free to watch it. I just was not a fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, final thoughts, Sean?
No, I mean I could sit and talk about horror movies all day. I was trying not to override the conversation.
Maybe
No,
we'll do a whole episode on horror movies one time.
Yeah.
Just a whole episode, and somebody else will record that one. Because I'm not coming. Again, I don't mind if we're talking about horror, and I've seen a lot, right? But it's not my thing. Not my thing. Okay, so now, Indy, we will move on to your topic.
All right, so we're gonna move to a lighthearted conversation topic. So my question posed to all of you is: if money was no concern, what would you do with your time?
Horror movies.
Because
All the horror movies. I would watch them. I would buy them. I would direct them.
I'd act all the parts out.
we all know money makes the world go round, and we all do what we have to do to get money, but still find life enjoyable and try to find that balance. But yeah, if you did not have to worry about going to a job that you didn't enjoy or only kind of enjoyed, and you just had time all to yourself to do whatever you wanted to do, and you can still sustain your lifestyle or live a better one. Yeah, so the question would be, what would you do with your time? And I think that's a hard question for a lot of people because we do focus so much on trying to make ends meet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how life is set up, you know? I had to make sure I can pay my bills, get my food, get my gas for my car.
And that's a big part of our
repeat cycle.
progression. Like when we think about like progressing in life and stuff like that, it's kind of career or making more money or having a nicer thing is a big part of that. Because initially my answer was going to be, of course, like streaming. But then I'm like, one of the reasons I like streaming is, of course, I like playing games. I like interacting with people, right? I like, the attention from interacting with people and from streaming. But I also like the idea of progressing through streaming to making it my job. And if you take away that aspect, it actually does offer less to me. Like the idea of streaming, but streaming to like not make eventually money or full time takes a little bit of it away from me because I think I'm just having a hard time separating that. Now, I guess
no pressure.
Yeah, I guess if I turned it a little bit and just said, okay, well, I'm still doing it to grow, but I don't really have a reason to do that. Right? Like I don't need to stream to 1,000 people anymore because that doesn't matter as much. Right? Because I don't need to live off of it. So that's tough. I don't know I don't know if somebody else has an answer.
Say that there's a lot of knowledge that I would love to gain, but I don't have the financial means to do it. I want to learn a lot of crafts, trades, skills. I work on cars with the knowledge that I've gained through experience or YouTube videos, but I would love to go to like a master mechanics class, so whenever something happens, I can take care of myself or just be able to work on a car. I love cars. I like being able to rebuild cars. I would like to be able to just go out and collect all the cars that I've ever loved in life, have a master garage of all these crazy cars, being able to work on them, complete body work and engine work, doing it all in house, not having to outsource anything would be amazing. And I could have a great time just restoring old vehicles.
I'm kind of in the same wheelhouse there. I want to learn things, new crafts. I like making stuff. I want to create like art. I like writing a lot. Um, it's not really gonna free me up to do that because I have plenty of time to do it. I do still write a lot of poetry. I don't do a lot of long form writing anymore, but poetry's kind of always been something that I've loved since I was like in elementary school. I still have some of my like middle school poetry. So that really wouldn't change too much. I'd probably travel. I have a big dream of traveling the world via motorcycle. I love being on a motorcycle. I love the idea of traveling around, go flying to other countries, and either. I guess we have enough money. You could just get your bike transported there.
There you go.
Which is a really cool idea. To have a bike that's just literally been around the world. There's people that do that. But I'd also be content just renting somewhere. Like one trip that I'm going to take at some point in my life is going to Japan. You can rent a bike and you can just ride and just tour the country and stuff like that. And so that's something I definitely want to do. And yeah, like you said, man, just learning stuff. I would love to take a lot of like cooking classes and learn different culinary things from different cultures. Mechanic stuff, obviously. Being able to. I've always had a dream of opening like my own business, partially because I my own interest, but a lot of it just to kind of to benefit my mom. I've always had this for a long time. I've had this idea of opening a coffee shop and just calling it like Cindy's or something like that. And that's something I would love to do, to kind of have your own place where you can kind of do your own thing. I've also a great, or I say a great idea, just an idea that I have that I feel pretty strongly about is a curry and coffee house where I serve Japanese curry and coffee. Both my favorite things to intake. But yeah, like just stuff like that, like you said, just learning and honing crafts and just I don't know. Obviously,
Okay.
I'd want to make the world a better place somehow, through that. I don't know if it just means we have infinite money to throw at things or just more of just you don't have to worry about money. But either way, like whatever I could do to benefit, other people would definitely be. I would also probably continue to do what I do now. Maybe not as a professional, but as a volunteer firefighter, because it's something I just have a lot of passion for. But
I will not be volunteering at my job. I can tell you that.
I had something pop into my head, and it was basically just if I was good to where I didn't have to work or whatever, I would just be happy with the fact that I had enough money that I wouldn't have to worry about medical issues and stuff like that. Like that would be enough for me to be happy, is the idea that I don't have to, I can go get everything I want to get checked out. I can get checked out without even thinking about the money part of it, which stops me, from plenty of things and putting stuff off. I'm literally, my last one was going to be on Monday because it's going to get too pricey. And they sent me the Cobra package, and it's like $550 a month that I'd need to pay to keep my insurance. And that's just the health part. If I want to do the dental and the vision part, that's more too. So, more like 600 to 650 to be able to keep that. And so I'm like, no, don't want to do that.
That genuinely makes me angry.
Yeah. So the other thing, after Sean talked about the business thing, was I have always wanted to have a land center. I've written out full business plans on more than one occasion. I've approached people, I've talked to people, all that jazz about it. I've always wanted to open like a place with a bunch of computers where people can come and just play games together, socialize, that sort of thing. I would love to eventually own one of those. And I think back to Jim playing EverQuest in the back of Atomic Comics Emporium. And I'm like, yep, that sounds about right. And I think to the guy Bob at World's Best, sitting in the front, playing whatever he's playing on the computer, I'm with it. So I think that'd be really cool. And I would also want those things. I'd want people playing Dungeons and Dragons in the back. I'd want people playing Magic the Gathering, stuff like that. We probably wouldn't do
be able to play your
Pokemon.
computer games in a public place. Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
basically, yeah. Essentially,
You want to
correct.
own your own comic book / LAN center.
Yeah, where I just sit and play games.
Yeah. Like what they actually do, I don't care that much.
Yeah.
They just need to recognize that I'm there playing video games.
Mm-hmm.
Come in, help yourselves, have fun. I'm playing this game if you want to watch over my shoulder or not.
Maybe I'll inspire the youth, turn another kid into a nerd,
There you go.
Maybe, and at that point, if, money's not an object, I'd let everyone get in there free.
Nah.
Fuck it. I don't need the money. Y'all come in, have some snacks, play a video game, watch a movie, do whatever you want.
There you go. You could be the youth. You could be the youth center for your community.
Exactly. Kids will never leave.
There you go. keep them off the streets, man.
Yeah.
Keep them on.
People
the
offer
games.
other classes in there too, stuff
There
to
you
help
go.
them.
Yeah, jujitsu.
Nah. We'll teach like anti-gun seminars and stuff like that.
It's like, yeah, you come play some video games,
You
do some
wanna play this
snacks,
video
do some jujitsu. Soon you've got, that guy, cheated in Halo and now he's in a freaking rear naked choke. And it's just like, oh God.
Well,
No, we'll just-
You
we'll
should have taken the jiu-jitsu class too.
We'll just start
Look out, man.
an anti-gun militia and stuff like that. Just converting them all.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Get it, 30 sweaty nerds. Guns are bad.
We don't like guns.
You guys are really stereotyping, being really rude to kids who like video games. So
I mean, we were kids who liked video games and we all talked like that. I'm just kidding.
We're all nerds. At some point or another, we were all sweaty.
What do you mean
Yeah.
at some point? It's a
What if I
constant.
not sweaty, bro?
That's a constant state
I
of
never
living, my
stopped
friend.
sweating.
Hit puberty and I'm just moist all the time.
So what about you, Chris? Money is no object, and what would you do with your time?
Right off the bat, right? All my friends, we're all moving into the same neighborhood. I'm buying everyone a house. Everyone lives in the same neighborhood together. All
yeah,
right.
but you'd have to find a
Listen.
neighborhood we all wanted to live in.
You don't have a choice.
Now build one.
Can it be like in the woods somewhere, like with,
Oh,
far from?
Oh, it'd definitely be.
civilization?
It'd be a holler for sure. You gotta have a holler.
Yeah, we can be in the
No.
middle of nowhere because you can
So
have your own
it's-
house. I'll put a helipad on top of your house.
There you
So it's
go.
like a compound, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
You have like
You
the
can have your own
compound.
military compound.
Hell
There
yeah,
you
let's go.
Yeah, so first thing, right away, all my friends live within, in a small vicinity.
A village.
Because I don't like living far away anymore. Right after that, boom, I want to travel. I've always just wanted to travel the world, Europe, Asia, all that good stuff. Not Russia, but besides that, yeah, Europe and Asia, not China either.
You should explore Russia.
You got.
Not now.
There's a lot of Russia, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, nah.
They've got all the crabs now. You didn't hear about that.
Crickets.
I'm gonna avoid Russia. I'm gonna avoid China. I'm gonna avoid North Korea. Everything
got-
else is fair game.
I mean, like the edible crabs.
There's
They all-
curiosity
they
for
all
North
went
Korea.
across the strait there.
If I
But you-
walk into North Korea, I am never walking out.
You just walk in there with the
Dennis
militia.
Rodman got out. He visits.
There you
Dennis
go.
Rodman ain't Korean.
Oh wait, yeah. I guess you are Korean, aren't you?
North.
You'd be a
North.
defector.
South. Yeah, so that's what I'd do. Move my friends together. I'd travel. Honestly, I would probably. I would get into like making movies and shows, and I would make video games. I would just create all of this stuff that people want to watch and do.
That's some confidence right there, bud.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if I fuck it up. I have so much money, it doesn't matter. I just keep doing it until someone likes something.
Just Elon Musk it, man. Just hey, you work
man,
for me
I'm throwing
now.
money at it. I'll
You
throw
work for
money
me.
at Rotten Tomatoes till they say it's good.
That's it.
I bought all the tomatoes. None of them are rotten now.
They're all fresh. Everything I do was fresh. All the Marvel movies, I'd make them all rotten just for Sean.
Yes.
I'd probably get into like creating a real zombie virus just to see how it would work out like in real life, in a
It would be
controlled
screwed,
setting.
bro. Do you not
No.
remember COVID?
No, we would do it in a controlled setting in our neighborhood that we live in.
Oh, so we'll be zombies.
I would
Also,
release
you
one
not
zombie
remember
into our
COVID?
neighborhood. Yeah, we all got out of COVID just fine.
That's
After we
Release
all
a single
contract
zombie into our neighborhood and see who dies.
I don't know,
survive
man.
one pandemic.
I
we'll
still think
survive
I'm
another.
balding.
So I get it now. See, you're gonna make a found footage horror movie by having us live on your compound and release a zombie virus and see.
And here I
works.
really thought he missed us. I really thought he missed us for a second, and now it's really just he's making a movie.
Turns out if all I had was money, I would just make movies about my friends.
He's like, oh no, I took all your food. Who's gonna become cannibals?
Also, you can't leave.
Honestly, I'd probably make this virus infect Charles and just see where the world takes us.
I think we're all screwed. I think Charles is too. I don't know. I did have a thought though when you were talking about the Marvel things, and you said that you were gonna give them all bad scores, and I was like, ah, yes, you'll kill the whole fandom. And I was like trying to think of what I would call your fandom, and the first thing that came in mind was Christendom.
Christendom.
I was like, they all just be in love with Christendom. It's like, all right.
Yeah, we all live with Christendom.
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 So back to your traveling. So which country would you like to go to first? Like what's your top bucket list country to visit?
Wisconsin.
The country.
We're gonna talk about your
the
geography
long-lost
skills.
country of Wisconsin. I want to start in Europe for sure. I think I want to start
Russia.
in Germany. I want to start in Germany.
Okay.
That's number one. And then I'm just gonna branch out from there. So I want to hit Germany. I want to hit Ireland, Scotland, Italy, England, all that good stuff. I want to go. I want to go to all of them.
What draws
Food
you to
is
Germany?
number one
Okay.
priority.
Trust me.
Stay away from England.
I am a food traveler. I love it. I go and I enjoy the food, local cuisines. It's number one on the list. We look up places to eat before we even go. We're like, all right, we're going here.
Absolutely. That's
Where are
the
we
only
eating?
thing I care about.
Where are we eating? Yes.
Yeah, that's
I'll
number
take in the
one. I just
culture
want
and get some
food
food.
from everywhere. I want to try it all.
They have some of the world's most treasured relics, and I'm like, that's cool. Where can I eat?
Yes. What do you have to eat?
But
Well,
the
that's one of the
move.
things that when we went to Canada the second time, I remember thinking like, we don't have plans to really do anything. We just picked the places we're going to eat. I was like, that was it. Like the second time, that was it. We were just like, we're gonna go to Corinne's, we're gonna go to Ramen Nation, we're gonna go to that. And I'm
it,
like,
brother.
do we have anything else that we're
No,
planning?
man, the rest of it is the country is your oyster, but we need to know where we're eating. And so we
It's
figure
like,
out
that
where
is
a
we're
lot
eating.
of good food in
It's
Canada.
like, but
I
we're vegan,
really
so
miss
no
Corinne's.
oysters.
Yeah, Corinne's was bomb.
Corinne's was good, man.
Man, every time, man, that's a staple. And so you find places like that you just love. That no McDonald's, no rallies.
Yeah, that's what
No
pissed me off.
no
There was
Olive
McDonald's
Garden.
in that mall that people were going to.
Yeah, you're not gonna find any of those places there. Like finding some really good food that's made by somebody who loves what they do and loves their customers. You just can't beat that. And Corinne was one of those places, man. You get in there and she's like, "How you doing, baby? What do you want to eat?" And you're like, "I don't know." She's like, "What do you like?" I'm like, "I like breakfast foods." "Okay, are you vegan?" Yeah. She's like, "Okay, you're gonna have this." You're like, "All right, cool."
Yeah, yes,
And,
I am.
and you eat it and you're like, "Holy
I'm gonna
wow,
fucking love it too.
this is amazing." Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's mostly what I remember from most places I go to. I mean, when we went to Boston, me, Chris, Steven, and Roland, I mean, I enjoyed hanging out with the boys and doing stuff, and the tournament was cool. Counter-Strike's not really my game, but, like, it was a cool event. But that Thai place I went to by myself because they all abandoned me on my birthday was fantastic. Like, I was confused. I did not think that I was going to the right place because I'm in this alley. And then I'm like, well, it says this is where it's at. And I walk in and I'm just in a stairwell in an alley. And it smells bad. And I'm like, okay. So I go upstairs. There's no signs. And I go through this door and all of a sudden I'm in this big, huge open space with like one of the walls is all glass windows, and it's just full of plants. And it's just the most beautiful Thai restaurant you've ever been in your life. And it was all vegan. And I was just like, I died and went to heaven. Son of a bitch. And I like that was someplace like I have no interest in Boston beyond just being able to go to that one specific restaurant.
And
Like,
and Patriots.
I would love. I don't even know what that means. I want to go to the Thai restaurant. But they don't play in Boston, do they?
No,
Yeah.
they're close to it.
Can we just talk about how cold it is in Boston?
Oh my
cold,
god, bro.
That's one of those memories. So I have memories in life.
I do
Running
remember that
through the
distinctly.
island flies with
Yep, the
Chris.
horse
That is
flies.
the horse fly. I mean, that is a horror story in its own. They could make a movie about it. Like, it's still just
That was their
like
Normandy.
it was our Normandy. I will never forget it. And then the cold of Boston. That is another one that I'll never forget. Walking there and
So
just
wait a
feeling
minute.
like,
Did you underpack again? Because you have a history of this.
no,
Did you not bring
I was
clothes
fine
prepared
in
for
Canada.
Boston?
Boston is different. It was January it was January,
was.
right? Yeah, it was January.
January.
Yeah.
The end of January.
Yep, and it was so cold with the
So
wind.
we get to Boston, right? We drove straight. I think we stopped like maybe twice between Virginia and Boston, and just to pee, and then got back on the road. And we get there, and did we go to the hotel room or did we? We might have gone up to the hotel room and dropped our stuff. We might have just parked and then said we need to go find somewhere to eat. We have not eaten. It's 10 o'clock at night. The only thing that's open that we found is like this Chinese food place. I'm like, okay, it's in Chinatown. We'll walk over there. It's not far. So we start walking, and we start walking probably, 10, 15 minutes in one direction.
We walk
Realize
like
we're
half a mile in
walking
the wrong direction.
in the complete wrong direction with the wind at our back. So now we have to walk back the wrong distance we did, and then the distance to the Chinese food place against the wind. I was convinced I was losing my ears. 100% convinced. I was like, I'm going to get to this restaurant. I will no longer have ears. It was
Dude,
so
it was
cold.
it was so cold.
So cold, bro.
Easily the coldest I've ever been in my life. Like that wind just like ripping against you at like 1 degree.
Complete
You said it
numbness.
was
Anything exposed was just numb to the point where I was like, it could fall off right now.
yeah. That
And there was homeless dudes out there practically wearing nothing, just chilling.
yeah.
Y'all
We were
are
not-
scrubs.
We weren't built for that. I
Bro,
don't
we're
know.
from the South.
Yeah, that was not ideal, but yeah.
All right, so Sean, where would you go? Travel.
Where would I go? I've always wanted to go to Japan. Really, really have. That's a big one for me. Beyond that, I think it's gonna be kind of like a lot of what Chris said. Like I would love to travel this country. Love to hit up every state, and visit all that. There's lots of really cool like road trips I'd love to do in the motorcycle. I watched a video where these guys drove essentially the whole length of Alaska. Started down in I don't remember whatever's farther south, Anchorage or Juneau, I can't remember. But they got in there and they drove all the way to like the northernmost part of the United States. So there's a highway called the Dalton Highway that was built back when Alaska had like an oil boom, and they found all that oil and they were just out there all the time. So they built a highway that goes across like hundreds of miles of just desolate earth. There is nothing. And it is like one of the most desolate and dangerous highways in the world, apparently. And I kind of want to do it. Like, just get on a bike. I mean, you need to make sure you have plenty of gas and food because there is literally nothing. You will see big trucks occasionally, and that is it. And in order to get to I don't necessarily care about going to the northernmost point or anything. I just think it would be kind of an extreme adventure, and it'd be really cool. But fun fact, to get to the northernmost point, the northernmost town in the United States, there is no roads going there. You can only get there by boat or plane. So you go all the way north from the Dalton Highway. You can go to the outpost there, and then you can get a plane, pack your stuff, and fly it over there. And then there's like a peninsula that juts out, which is also polar bear country, fun fact, that juts out into the Arctic, and that is the northernmost point.
I've been to the southernmost point of the United States.
Have you?
On
Where's
a
that at?
cruise, Key West.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Uh,
Japan would be a good place for Steven to visit.
Yeah, I was about to say, Stevens, where would you go?
just like height wise.
And then
I knew it.
this guy, and this
I
will wrap
knew
up.
it.
This will wrap up my section here.
Yeah,
Uh,
now
Steven,
that
where
we're
would you
throwing
go?
insults. I just want to go to beautiful places. You know, like I see pictures of places like Switzerland, and I'm sure they're edited photos or
went
videos on stuff,
Oh,
but
yeah.
they look, I mean, some of them, it just looks like out of a movie, like a picturesque, just like perfect, like vibrant colors. So, Switzerland, I hear a lot about Edinburgh or whatever it is in Scotland.
Been there. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
I want to go there. I really liked Bath, and people are like, oh, well, then you have to go there. Like, it's even like, yeah. So, I'd like to experience that. Germany is another place I'd like to go. I want to see castles. So, I want to see really pretty stuff. I want to see mountains that are pretty, lakes that are pretty, fields that are pretty, castles that are awesome, like all that sort of jazz. Like, that's that stuff. I don't necessarily care where they are as long as it's dope. Like, that's what I
Switzerland
wanna
is
see.
definitely top on my list.
Yeah.
A large part of our bloodline hails from Switzerland.
Oh.
If you follow it back, the Blickensdorfers.
Yes.
So, no, our dad's mom's last name was Blickenstaff, which came from Blickensdorf, which came from Blickensdorfer. I can show you the whole. There's all kinds of cool stories. I'm not going to get into it.
I shall
here.
henceforth
I
be
found a lot of
known as
stuff.
Bleckenstruff.
Steven
Jessica-
Nickensterfer.
Jessica at one point was like, "No, you should change your name. That sounds dope. We're gonna be Blickensdorfers now."
Sturfers.
Yeah. Well, there's like I said, it changed multiple times.
Okay. What's the
between
furthest
from-
back one?
Blickensdorfer.
Blickensdorfer.
Yeah. They were Mennonites. They got kicked out of Germany when they had all went a certain way, and then they got to Switzerland, and then Switzerland was kind of turning away, so then they came to the U.S. and
What are
there's
Mennonites?
stories about them like trying to like settle in like Western Pennsylvania and like losing eyes and children to the natives there and like turning up years later in some camp. Like there's all kinds of crazy stories. But there's enough people that went back and there's there's a book about our ancestors on that side.
Nice. And what was the
We'll
question
talk
I
about
asked while you were talking?
Switzerland, Norway, Sweden, all the
Oh, yeah.
all the Viking countries.
I'd like to do that too.
The Nordic countries.
Yeah.
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 Iceland is a big one for me.
I'd like to go to Iceland as well.
Ireland and Scotland, the hills, man, beautiful. It's like something out of a Lord of the Rings movie.
That's what I
Just
want.
the rolling green
New
hills.
Zealand.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So
I want to go there as well. And then
it
we'll
was-
build a
it was
hobbit
beautiful.
hole.
We'll move us all out there. We'll film our own movies out there. Probably get our own movie.
I've heard about your movie, so I'm good. All right, so
right.
yeah, that wraps up my section. So what you got?
All right. So I didn't really have anything, but I kind of came up with something on the fly, and we're going to talk about best movie adaptation. So that can be book, comic book. I'm even open to like the story of the life of a band, like the Beatles, and Elton John. Like they've had movies made about them and like certain storylines. So best adaptation, like that was turned into a film. Best film
I'm gonna
adaptation.
go first. I'm gonna say off the top of my head, Lord of the Rings before anyone else says it, so I don't have to think. No, like deadass though. Like I feel like
Son of a bitch.
no, I mean the between the casting, the set, the setting, the direction. Like I don't think that there could ever be a movie that was better. Just I don't know what the word you used, like converted from any medium to movie. Like I don't know. I can't think of anything out of the top of my head that is any better than that.
Yeah.
So maybe not like the best, right? But some of my favorites. Not good movies, but I love the Resident Evil movies. They're just like fun guilty pleasures for me. And then just like kind of sticking with the same like genre. I like Stephen King movies. Can't really think of anything else off the top of my head. I'll research as we continue talking.
Okay.
I can't say that I really have any. I don't really watch a lot of movies on my own. I watch basically what anybody else is kind of watching, but I can say for the one I can think recently was the Uncharted movie.
Mm-hmm.
Shocker.
Yeah.
I really like the Uncharted series. It actually wasn't done that well. They had some of the key moments there, they switched up the story a little bit, but I'm glad it was done. I would like to see it done more and changed up a little bit, but yeah.
I have not played the games or anything like that, but I liked the movie. Like, the movie was pretty good. I feel like I could have done it without Mark Wahlberg's character because I just saw him as Mark Wahlberg, and so like it just
I feel like the character would have been fine if it was a different actor. And I
Yeah.
love Mark
Yeah.
Wahlberg. It's just he's the same character all the time.
yeah, and that's what I think threw me off. Is I felt like it was like, oh, the dude Nathan Drake, he's teaming up with Mark Wahlberg. Like that's kind of how I saw it. Now it's just like, yeah, no, that doesn't really do it.
It could have
for
had
me.
a better actor, but that character is pivotal for
Like his story?
helping create Nathan Drake into what he is.
Okay.
So it could have been a better person, a lesser known person,
Mm-hmm.
but to give that character more of a shine than to have, like you said, Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, I did like the movies though, but again, I haven't seen that, so I don't know it from that adaptation. And my response, of course, is Lord of the Rings as well. But I would also say Harry Potter
Yeah, so Harry
was
Potter,
another
yeah.
one that was well enough done that basically everybody was happy with it. Could you find things to point things out? Yes. But for the
everything.
yeah, exactly. But for the most part, I think Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter are two of the most well-received book to movie adaptations. Like, just overall, most people are like, yeah, no, that was really well done. I think Lord of the Rings has the advantage in the fact that I don't think anybody would change the actor for any of the characters. Like, I really think that they nailed the casting for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris, you're thinking. Are you trying to think of a character that you would replace in Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, I don't think there is.
Yeah. Do you imagine if
yeah,
somebody
they did a
else
great
played
job.
Aragorn? Like, what?
Or Legolas?
Yeah.
Or Gimli?
Yeah, Sylvester
Or
Stallone.
Gandalf? What?
Oh, Sylvester Stallone is Gimli.
I mean, just think about it. Like, think
My
And that was not on fight.
think
Back-
if
back to
Gandalf
back
had a
with an
different
elf.
actor. Like, how crazy would it be if Gandalf was somebody else? If Saruman was somebody else? Like, even the character you didn't see as much of, if they were somebody else, I just feel like it wouldn't fit.
I was actually really upset when the original Dumbledore actor died.
Mm-hmm.
I it's like the first movie I saw with the different actor. I was like, I fucking hate this guy.
I
Yeah.
was just
Okay,
thinking
but
in
yeah.
my head about William Shatner playing Gandalf.
Hi,
It's
you
in a
host.
language I dare not speak here.
Speak, friend,
It-
and enter.
It's the black tongue of Mordor.
Yeah. Again, I feel like it was too perfectly done that, it's those things we hear, there's remakes for movies, and I'm like, if somebody ever tries to do Lord of the Rings, it will be worse.
Yeah.
It just will be. Like, they
Nobody's
could
gonna
do
attempt that.
a lot of the
It'll
exact
happen
same
eventually.
things.
It won't be during our lifetimes, but
No.
Yeah.
I think it'll happen eventually in the future.
And it
Everything gets
holds
remade
up.
at some point.
It holds up so well. Like, when you
Yeah,
look
it's-
back and you think about how old that movie actually is, like The Fellowship of the Ring, and you can watch it today and be like, oh, it looks pretty modern. Yeah. It
Yeah, I
holds up
don't-
really well.
Yeah, there aren't many like movie series where it's like 3 movies that are 3+ hours long. It's like, yeah, I'll fucking watch these every day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I might have brought this up before when talking about my lieutenant in a previous episode. He is not a person who really delves a lot into fiction. He reads a lot, but really, as far as I know, not a lot of fiction. When I brought up different things, they talked about Marvel movies or Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, he was like, all that stuff's stupid. It's a waste of time, whatever. Well, he sat down and watched all 9 hours of Lord of the Rings in one sitting. He was like, this is good. I was like, yeah, bud, it is.
Yeah. Life as a firefighter is sit around for 9 hours watching movies.
Us at home, bro.
Taxpayers' dollars.
I can tell you what
I wish. God, that'd be great. Not really. I like doing stuff. I could go make a lot more money than I make doing a whole lot less work at a federal fire station. But I like doing stuff. I'd go crazy.
So I know that I could tell you something I would like to see adapted,
Okay.
and I don't know if y'all can see.
The Four Legendary Kingdoms. A Jack
16
West
contestants,
thriller
So-
from
9
Matthew
deadly
Riley.
challenges.
So Matthew
Grab
Riley,
a book off of my shelf.
Matthew Riley is one of my favorite authors. If you've heard me or know about me by now, I love the Indiana Jones
Oh,
trope.
absolutely, bro.
That trope is my thing. So Jack West is the main character of a series of books, and it starts off with like Seven Deadly Wonders, Six Greatest Warriors. Um, I forgot what the number 5 was, but they've been counting down from like 7, and each book has like a number in it, but it's like dealing with something different. So he's an Australian, I guess like a special ops kind of guy, but he retired from all that and ends up getting roped into kind of saving the world through some underground secret organizations that are kind of controlling everything, but they're going after like mythical things that are really controlling things. So they kind of tie in real world stuff with like how superpowers came to be and how the superpowers kind of trade off their time controlling things. And there's like contests that are done in the background to control things. So we don't really know this, but so one of the books, he ends up losing his arm, and it's crazy. He's got a metal replacement for an arm, but it's just a crazy series.
There's your cyborg costume.
There you go.
There you go.
But
So you want to
it's a-
see an
it's a
adaptation
great-
of that? It'd be like a modern Indiana Jones, kind of.
Yeah, it's more military esque.
Okay.
But he's just it's amazing. There's one scene that I vividly remember where they're trying to take off on this ship that one of his friends owns, and it's called the Halicarnassus, and it's this big cargo vessel with the bay doors in the back that kind of open up, and they're trying to take off on this very short runway. It's actually on a road, a highway, and some evil guys come up, the bad guys, and so they're trying to drive away and take off. And these guys are they harpoon the wings and keep them from letting the flaps go up, so they can't take off. So Jack has a shield that he deploys like a riot shield, and he drops that down on the ground and lays on it and uses his like grappling hook and slides underneath the vehicles that are driving behind him while they don't see him. And he's like shooting up through the bottom of the truck and taking out these guys from underneath the vehicle, sliding on a riot shield. Like it's just crazy action sequences in this book, and I would just love to see that play out in real time.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
pretty wild.
Chris,
Yeah.
what book did you find?
I was gonna grab one, and then I saw another one, and then I saw 4 more. There's just like there's so many books that I've read that I want to see made into movies or shows. Anything by Brandon Sanderson, he's my favorite author. I'm a big fantasy guy, so anything by Brandon Sanderson. He wrote the Mistborn series. It's about like people have magic and they use it to control like metals and shit. So I love that series. I'd love to see that get made into a show. He wrote Steelheart. It's about people that got superpowers, and everyone with superpowers is evil, and that's about all these regular people trying to survive and kill all these super villains. I'd like to see that made into a show. Patrick Rothfuss wrote The Name of the Wind, and I can't even begin to try to explain like the backstory to that one. The Powder Mage trilogy from Brian McClellan. It was super cool. It's a world where like magic and gunpowder are all like mixed together. I just want to see a lot of these like fantasy series made into shows or movies. That's what I like to read, and I'd like to see it on a screen.
Yeah.
And Sean?
So I grabbed a couple books. The first one here, it's a lot of people know about this one. It's by a guy in J.R.R. Tolkien. It's called Lord of the Rings. This is Return of the King. So this would be a good one that I think could be adapted. I'm just kidding, guys. We already talked about Lord of the Rings. The other one I was thinking of was The Hobbit. This is a pretty good one. I'm just kidding. We already said them. Maybe like the Similarian. You know, if they're down to tackle 30 hours of film. No, but seriously, the others I'm thinking of are not really books per se, so much as video games. So the Elder Scrolls series, Morrowind being my absolute favorite one of all time, favorite game probably. I think that the lore in each of these games alone is so incredibly deep, let alone combining all of them into kind of one volume to kind of base a film or any sort of thing on. I mean, there's so much stuff to work there. There's a lot of your basic fantasy tropes, but if you really get into some of the deep Elder Scrolls stuff, there's some very unique and very interesting stuff that happens there, and I'd love to see more done with that. The other one is kind of almost in the opposite category. The Dark Souls series, I love with all my heart. It's another contender for Dark Souls 3 is probably right up there with Morrowind, as far as like favorite games of all time. But while it is very easy to find all the lore and the information for Elder Scrolls because they literally have books in game you can read, all of the lore you could possibly want to find in Dark Souls 3, you have to try so hard to find. And then you need to find other people who have tried really hard to find it, and you both try to work together to decipher it, and you're probably wrong because all these other people who looked found different things. It is a very archaic and just very esoteric kind of game with like all these things that seem like it would have the most deep and interesting lore that it just refuses to tell you about. But the feel of the world, of all the things and the characters and the uniqueness of it, I absolutely adore, and I would love to have more media that delved into that. I think they did some graphic novels / comics that were, from my understanding, kind of poorly received. I haven't looked at them, but I understand they would probably be hard, and anyone doing it would have a tremendous weight on their shoulders and expectations, and it'll probably be extremely difficult to pull off, but it would be something just that whole dark fantasy thing is just something I'm super, super into, so that'd be it for me.
I think Morrowind would be cool. Out of the books that I have, I would say The Inheritance Cycle, which they did make the Aragon movie of, and it was not very good or well received. I'm not super picky with movies in terms of like how good they have to be. I think I've only ever really disliked one movie. It's called Skyline. It was an alien movie. And that's the only movie that I was like, I think I just wasted my time watching this. Most of the time I can take something away and don't feel like I wasted my time. So I'd like that. And apparently Disney Plus is making a TV show based around Aragon, so that's exciting. I wonder if they'll go through the entire inheritance cycle and the whole thing, or if they're just going to like call it Aragon and it's going to just be like the first part, or if they skip a bunch, who knows. And the other one is the most recent series I read, which then got a sequel series, kind of, was the Faithful and the Fallen series, which I really enjoyed. I'm also a fantasy dude. Everything I read is fantasy. I don't have like anything back there that's not. So that one would be good. And then I think the only other ones, there's the study series. It's Magic Study, Poison Study, Fire Study. Not in that order. And those were really good too. And a lot of them have some of the same scenarios, right? Like there's, yeah. But the fantasy stuff, I'd like to see a lot of those. I think they have really good stories, good battles, important people and deaths and surprises and trickery and
I kind of
beasties.
wouldn't mind seeing something based in the Diablo realm. Like just a brutal kind of dark fantasy movie. That would be really cool. Yeah. I would really be into that.
I would be so into that.
Yeah, I would like that. The other thing is, so, we've talked about Lord of the Rings a lot, and this isn't like, in a way, I guess it is an adaptation. Lord of the Rings, not Lord of the Rings, Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons movies. The first one was not fantastic. At least the first one I'm thinking of. And now there's another one coming out. And I think the part from the previews and all that obsessed me the most is Chris Pine.
You don't want eyebrows? You don't want eyebrows on there?
No, it's that I know who it is.
Yeah.
It's that I look at him and I go, Chris Pine. I don't go like, oh, there's this dude who's whatever. I'm just like, Chris Pine. They'd be like if they put The Rock into it.
I mean, Chris Pine's in it. Michelle Rodriguez is also a big name.
Yeah, but she's like
Sophia Lillis.
That's
older.
Just how movies work, bro.
No, but there are certain people. Again, like the Mark Wahlberg thing, actors. Where it's just like he's Mark Wahlberg. Like that's what you see him as and everything. He is the same person. The Rock. You see The Rock, you're like, oh, that's The Rock. Like that's Chris Pine for some reason. Like that's when they've been the main star of other big series. And multiple of those, like Chris Pine and Star Trek. Yeah. And then now he's a freaking, like, was he a rogue or something in this one?
Bard.
He's a bard. And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
and some people, they just...
a good bard.
I mean, it's not that I can't see him doing a good Bard. I just think I don't know. Well, I have to wait and see. But that was the thing that jumped out at me was just like, it's Chris Pine.
Yeah, it's hard for me to watch to get into a character that you're not supposed to know, but then have an actor that's just so massively popular.
Mm-hmm.
Then it kind of takes you out of that, like drawing you into the world, because you're still stuck with, oh yeah, there's Tom Brady.
It's Daniel Radcliffe and Uncharted,
Yeah.
right? Wait, that he is in that,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
And it took this long for me to be willing to accept that. Because he was in stuff before, and I'd be like, oh, it's Harry Potter. Right?
And
Like, it's Daniel Radcliffe.
was in Uncharted?
Hey, he was the villain.
I haven't seen it. I just didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the villain.
He was in Now You See Me.
Yeah. He was in that other one, the anime-ish, like he ended up like Guns on His Hands or something like that.
Oh, yep.
I don't remember what that's called, but I saw that. But again, if he would have done and I think he did, like the first couple of years after Harry Potter, he did stuff. And like nobody could look at it without being like, just cast a spell, dude. Like,
Well, he went way off. He went on that Quentin Tarantino movie to try to, he was like, I'm breaking out of this right away.
Yeah. I just don't think it worked then. Like it took a while.
Yeah.
And so they're just those things. So I'm interested to see the D&D movie, but I almost wanted it to see like a new thing with it versus a bunch of like known people just playing it. Like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm expecting, but like it could still be good. It just threw me off.
So is it like a Jumanji? Like, how does this, like, I'm trying to figure out how this, like,
No,
works as
they're
a
just
movie.
in like the world of Dungeons and Dragons. Like it's just a
Okay.
fantasy movie. It's
Okay.
just a fantasy movie. So like
So it has
Chris
nothing to
Pine
do
is
with,
playing
like,
a
them
bard.
playing a game or anything like
Yeah,
that.
they're not like sitting around a table and then like they're showing it. Like no, it's
And then they're like, they're acting it out or something.
yeah, no, there is an actual
It's just a
bard
fantasy
and
movie.
yeah, it's a fantasy movie placed in a D&D world. I don't know which one it is, but like it's placed in a D&D world.
They
And
had Marlon Wayans in.
Yeah, he was in the first
the original one,
first
yeah,
I like
yeah.
the original one.
I
Yeah.
honestly did too. That's another one of my guilty pleasure movies. Terrible movie, but I fucking love it. And
Yeah,
it
haven't
has
seen
some
it.
like big name actors in it.
yeah. The bad
The second
guy.
one was even worse.
Who's the
Yeah,
bad
it was
guy?
Jeremy Irons, I think.
Yeah, Jeremy Irons.
Propion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know this existed, so this is new
Yeah.
to me.
Jeremy Irons.
You should watch the original.
Marlon Wayans. I think Thora Birch was in it.
Came out in the year 2000.
Yeah. I would watch it, Indy. I would
We were
check it
so
out.
innocent then.
Okay, so it's funny. I typed in Dungeons and Dragons, and then so Aragon is another movie they have up here is related.
Mhm.
Dragonheart.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Dragonheart.
Yeah, that movie was dope.
is
Sean
that the one with
Connery
Sean
played the
Connery?
dragon, right? Yeah.
That
movie
one
was
was sad too, though.
Yeah,
It was sad. It was
Yeah,
sad.
Any
that was another
movie
one
a
that-
dragon dies makes me sad because they're like my favorite creature.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Probably the worst dragon movie.
No one's going to
Reign
watch
of Fire.
Dragonheart, bro.
Are any
Come
of you?
on.
So I
It's the
know. So
best.
some of you never watched Game of Thrones, right?
I've
I
not.
think two of you, right? Chris, you haven't either.
I've
Yeah.
seen some of Game of Thrones, but I've never like really.
I've
Sean,
seen the
you've
first
watched
three
it.
episodes.
Mhm.
Have you?
I've seen
None
all
of
but
you
the
have
last
watched.
season.
None of you have watched House of the Dragon, though.
No.
No.
Oh.
I literally didn't watch. Purposely tried not. That was one of the other reasons I didn't watch the last season. I didn't want to see dragons die. I refused to allow that to happen.
For the last season of Game of Thrones,
Yeah,
I don't know if the dragons die.
I don't
Me
either. And I
He's
don't want
like-
to.
He's like,
I
and I
mean,
don't want to know.
a
I knew
dragon
what was
died
going to
before
happen to
the last
Homegirl,
season.
and who has dragons? Homegirl.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think she
I
goes
assume-
and the dragons just like fly off. Sad.
makes me
It's
sad
sad
too,
because
bro.
they're sad. Yeah, like they're sad and
Yeah.
that's sad, but like I don't know that happens. Spoiler alert, if you haven't watched House of the Dragon, don't keep listening. I don't want to spoil it for Sean, actually, maybe not.
the dragons.
Yeah,
They kill dragons.
I do want to
watching
watch Lord of the Rings. Or not Lord of the Rings.
One of the dragons
Game of
has
Thrones,
to
but
burn its like rider at a point.
Game of Thrones is just such a commitment.
It is, man. It's so
So
far
much.
Good
deep,
stuff though.
and
It's good stuff.
having to get
yeah.
into the world and the lore.
There's a couple
Yeah.
lulls in it, but like they're very short lulls, and there's a lot of shit going on all the time. I hate drama, which is why I will never. There's parts of it that I'm like, the world is cool. I like a lot of it. I love low fantasy. Like love low fantasy, but the drama just I think about it. And I'm like, I can't put myself through that again. I hate drama so much.
I like high fantasy.
It starts off slow, and I know there's great things coming. Obviously, it's got a massive fan base and it's making lots of money. Fun fact: I did see the God, what is her name? The young girl. I have to look her up now.
Arya?
I wouldn't know
Oh, the
her
girl
From
that
Game of
married
the Thrones, Arya Stark.
Let me see. Game.
Maisie.
Maisie Williams.
I saw her in the UK at a vegan spot called Temple of Satan.
Oh,
Temple of Satan.
That's
they make-
SEITAN.
Oh,
Satan.
yes, yes, it is
Clever.
like a little chicken spot, and yeah, I saw her there.
She's vegan, by the way. Yeah, so that makes sense.
So it
That's
was
pretty
pretty
cool.
cool.
Quick
My
Google.
wife was like, "Is that?" And I was like, "I think that's her." And I looked over and I was like, "Yep." Like, I saw people trying to like sneak photos of her and stuff, and I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah." So that was pretty cool.
Who could do it like that? Just I could never like just imagine just taking pictures of strangers. You know what I mean? Just weird. It's just
Yeah.
weird, man.
Yeah, like me and Steven have talked about it when we went to TwitchCon the first time. Like, it would have been a better experience if we were like people got starstruck about shit like that.
Nope. It was
Like, if
prime
they came up, they were
Fortnite
like, "Hey, I'm
days.
this famous person." I'd have been
Yeah,
like,
it's like
"Cool,
it was
man, nice
cool
to
to
meet you."
see them, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to like freak out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
not
we
gonna
left her-
circle them. People were like hiding in bathrooms, waiting for them in the hotels this year and
Yeah.
stuff, like waiting for them to come down and like all sorts
Yeah,
of
it's
stuff.
too much. It's too much. We left her alone. Most people did. Some people tried to talk to her, or they took photos, trying to sneak a photo or whatever. But they are normal people, and you can tell she was dressed, trying to be low key.
Hmm.
She just wanted to go out and get some vegan food at this hot spot in this town. I mean, the line was out the door, and she waited in line like everybody else. But
It'll warn someone else's face. That's her thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
See, I
that
know
is
things.
true.
Y'all remember that it was a Dungeons and Dragons movie, but it was like a choose your own adventure.
I remember it because we had that, but
Yeah. I'm trying to Scourge of Worlds. That was what it was called. I was
yeah,
trying
it's
to,
where they,
I had
they
to-
made like an interactive D&D movie.
Yeah. Fun fact: if
Neat.
you want to buy it on Amazon, it's $65.
Oh, pass.
holy cow!
Sheesh. But yeah, it was like you'd get to a point and you'd have to select, like, do you say this or do you say that? Do you leave them behind? Do you save them? That sort of thing.
You get
as
with
a
this,
movie.
you can get with that.
Hmm. Just like that.
Wasn't it like the fighter's name was like Redgar or something like that?
Yeah. Hmm. He's like a
It was like the-
classic in
Yeah,
like
they're
the
classic,
D&D
like
world.
the ones they used in like the book, like the
Oh,
manuals.
Ragnar the Fighter.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yep, it was those guys.
Ragnar the Fighter, Lita the Rogue.
Yep. It was kind of it was cool. It was cool.
Back in the day, I mean, that was like playing a video game.
Yeah. It was better
Back
than
in the
video
day.
game. Back in my day.
Well, I think that's all the topics. So hopefully, guys, if you were made it this far, you enjoyed the things that we talked about. It is a more free-flowing episode. Again, we plan on doing them kind of probably once a month. So once every 4 episodes, we will probably have one that is a little free-flowing. Maybe at some point we bump it up to 2, depending on if we can come up with more topics. But for now, that is going to be it. And appreciate you guys listening in. You can find us, of course, at BeHonestMan.com. There will be links to all of our socials, as well as all the podcast platforms and YouTube, depending on where you want to watch or listen to the next one at. So until next time, be honest, man.